Here you see it, the Acadia Axemen at 4-2 on top of the AUFC, and the Laval Rouge at 6-0 atop of the QUFL. Dan Robertson and John McNeil with you. Very close to kickoff. There you see that wind could be a factor today, you would think, John. Is really chilly here in Quebec too, a high of 7. I'm sure it's nowhere near that right now, and we're expecting gusts of probably 50 kilometers an hour. We've been seeing that a bit today, and we'll see how much that affects today's game as Acadia in their white jerseys with the blue and red trim. The officials today, Walter Berry is the head official, and there you see the other 6 who round out the 7 officials for today's game. So interesting to see these Laval Rouge. Doesn't seem like 2 years ago we were here for that St. Mary's game, but can we recall similar weather elements, and it was windy that day and really made it tough for the passing game, and maybe we can expect that here again today as well.
I think we can, and it will definitely have an effect because it's that strong, as you said, gusting to 50. The coldness will have an effect on the receiver's fingertips, so we'll look early to see whether or not a lot of them have gloves on for today's game.
Is there any way the Axemen don't have nerves right now?
I don't know that there's any way in any game that you don't have nerves, but you're right. Because of this crowd, the surroundings, and the environment, they certainly will have the nerves today.
Laval has had 44,852 fans in 3 home games, 15,000 people on average, and by contrast, last week at Acadia at homecoming, there were 1,500 people there, and it looked like a pretty good crowd. So it's a real pro setting here. That's what they pride themselves on. And of course, Laval coming off the big week last week against Concordia. But as we mentioned in the pregame, their #1 running back, Pierre-Luc Yao, who's averaging over 7 yards per carry, not in the lineup with a bit of an issue with an ACL, we're told. And Nicolas Bissayon with 28 catches on the year. He is not dressed today either, but they still have the likes of Matthew LeBlanc, Dwayne John, and many other weapons in this lineup, and a pretty efficient quarterback in Benoit Groux.
He is very efficient. Now, one of the things that Acadia has to do is they have to get rid of in their minds what's going on around them and concentrate on the game. Because believe it or not, this Laval team can be beaten. And we saw Concordia come very close. It was Bishops a few weeks ago that came within 2 touchdowns. So it can be, but you've got to be on top of your game. You've got to not let this environment affect you, and you have to do a lot of things right at the start. And one of the things is going to be that they're going to find on defense, on offense, that the Laval defense, well prepared, but they always look to their coach for the signal call. So that's why I like the no huddle that we talked about in pregame. That's why I like straight ahead dives. If you try to run laterally on them, they have good speed up front, and they'll take that away. So I think they can do some things well, and I'm really looking to that matchup with Letourneau. I know he has 4 interceptions, great for a rookie in his first season, but I want to see how he can match up against Barungi.
And a special presentation to Glenn Constantine, former head coach of the year in CIS. And we'll be underway in just a couple of minutes after that. But good news for Glenn this week as he's named to coach Canada's junior team in 2007.
And you can't help but be impressed with this man. Anybody who gets an opportunity to talk to him, he's so down to earth, he's so welcoming when you ask questions, and he certainly has a lot of knowledge, which is what he shares, and he takes care of his coaching staff, and he really in-services his coaching staff. So when he says he feels that they're working, they have work to do on defense with a lot of rookies, but when he says he feels they're working well and doing a good job, and you can, you know what he's really putting into it.
Yeah, Constantine will coach the 2007 NFL Global Junior Championship in Florida. Last year, it was Danny Machocha, of course, now the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos. And speaking with Coach Constantine before the game, he said, I wouldn't mind having Blake Nill on that staff.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Blake Nill ends up there, because the 2 of them have had a good working relationship over the years in the contest between Laval and St. Mary's. And it's interesting to see that the talk going around now is that interchange, as we saw in the paper, may take a different look next year.
Time for O Canada.
Ton front est ceint de fleurs en glorieux, car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire l'histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
These teams have met twice in the past, both times at Raymond Field at Acadia. 21-18, Laval beat them just 2 years ago. So obviously the Axemen, as you heard Coach Cummins talk about it, that's still somewhat close in their mind. Just 2 seasons ago, still a lot of the same players on both rosters. Take a look at the standings in the Atlantic Conference coming into the week. Of course, some different numbers we'll see this year because of the missed games, but Acadia at 4-2. X was supposed to host McGill today, but that was canceled because of the Norwalk virus breaking out in Antigonish. St. Mary's at 2-3. We'll keep you up to date on their score at Concordia today. And of course, Mount Allison home to Bishops. Be great to see win number 2 out of the Mounties today, if possible. So the captains go to midfield. There's Ivan Barungi and Steve Farrell. I think a good chance that he will be named Defensive Player of the Year in the conference again this year. He's been spectacular.
He has been, and what he brings to this defense is his speed, and he can put heat on quarterbacks in a hurry. He can pursue from sideline to sideline. So I would agree that he would be a great nominee. Adam
Rogers, the other captain there for Acadia, as well as Matt Allen. Acadia, John, with out Garth Melrose today. He separated his shoulder last week, but he also was suspended along with Brady Pimlott, the third-string quarterback, and Matt Philbrick for what Coach Cummins is calling internal matters. So maybe a chance for some other guys to step up here this afternoon defensively with those holes without Melrose and without Philbrick. And you know that Barungi likes the big stage. He'll want to get the ball in his hands. And you also know that Glenn Constantine is aware of what number 9 can do.
He certainly is. And as we saw there at the toss of the coin, Acadia won the toss and declined, so they will have the choice at the half. Laval will take the ball. The matchup is definitely an Ivan Barungi-Letourneau if they're going to have success in the air. But as you said, the wind could be a major factor here today. So the ground game comes into play. And now Acadia, again, has to really show us whether Inglis has got it all together. We saw a lot of good things out of him last week, and I'm really interested to see if he can pick up and continue that today.
That is Benoit Gru. He is second in the nation in passing yards. Of course, the coach of the Gatineau Olympique, also with the same name, Benoit, last week, 389 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception against Concordia. As Matt Allen and the rest of the Acadia Axemen get ready to get going, as Chris Judd's team will defend first as James Michener tees the ball at the 45-yard line. We're almost set to get underway. The wind is at Michener's back, so from left to right on your television screen as you watch from Nova Scotia and PEI. We're glad you could join us for this interlock game. And the ball will fall into the hands of Guillaume Senecal. He'll bring it out to the 30-yard line, where he is met by a pile of Acadia tacklers, and that's where the Rouge will scrimmage from the first time here today.
Not a deep kickoff, but successful because they found that spot with Senecal back on the goal line, and he found that empty spot in around the 20, so very, very little return. Good field position here for the Acadia defense.
So again, we'll keep an eye on Guillaume Allard-Canaeus. He is number 36. Expected to be their go-to guy to the backfield. They're in the shotgun. Dwayne John is out there. He wrapped up quickly, but he's able to sneak away. He's not going to get away from Steve Farrell, who brings him down behind the line of scrimmage.
And that time, Laval showed us an opening set with 3 receivers to the wide side, 3 receivers to the short side, and going empty. And right off the bat, that's telling you pass, and they tried to do that. No gain on the play. Good job by the defense coming up quick.
So second and just a little more than 10. Rouge will stay in that shotgun. Throwing against the wind. He has a couple wide receivers open, and he makes his first connection of the afternoon as he gets it to Laurent Levin-Masse, his 6th catch of the season. He had 1 catch last week for 69 yards.
Well, Acadia dropping into their 3 deep zone really left a large opening space in the middle and didn't close quick enough. And against a quarterback like Benoit Groux, you cannot give that big an opening. They've got to close that zone.
And Levin-Masse wide open, and again a guy who might get a chance as a flag on the play. Levin-Masse, one of the guys who might get a few balls thrown his way because Bissayan is out. And of course, John will rely on your ability to call signals on the penalties here today.
Well, what we have here is that we got some movement on Acadia early, so it's going to be an offside, and they get the choice here of taking it or declining it. We'll wait for the call to pick up on the play. It was about 6. And there we see the penalty is against Acadia. They marched it off, taking the 5 yards, so it'll be 1st and 5.
So Groux has Allard Canaillos behind him, gives it to him. They read that play to the Axemen and bring him down behind the line of scrimmage. Some good pursuit again. Kyle Markin is in there. And Matt Allen joining in as well. So good work defensively. James Barkley also.
And watching the replay, and this is what they have to do. They have to be there in a hurry, more than one person. And if they can do that for most of the day, they're going to make it extremely difficult for this Laval offense.
So about 2nd and 7 with a loss of a pair on that down. Rouge at their own 50-yard line here in the first possession of the game. Another receiver open. Moenga reached in, but not in time as Samuel Gregoire Champagne makes his first catch of the day, his 16th of the season. He transferred from Michigan State following the 2005 season.
Again, a problem in the zone in that they didn't just close quick enough. Prince Moenga was there in position, has to be a little bit quicker. Their defensive back cannot allow those catches to be made when the ball really was up there for grabs by anybody.
So they go back to the ground where Allard Canaillos will pick up a couple.
And Laval likes to set up their running game and run zone blocking, meaning they get the double team at the point of the attack, and then they'll bring one of those men off to go at the next linebacker. So your front 4 have to be quick enough, either hold that, split that double team, or you have to have a linebacker get up there in a hurry.
3 receivers to the left for Groux. It'll be interesting to watch Laval's formations on offense today. A flag right away as that pass caught by Levin-Masse. He's brought down after a short game. We'll see if it comes back.
Well, there was early movement on both sides of the line, so we'll have to see whether the offense initiated it or whether the defense, but there certainly was a lot of movement going on. You could hear the crowd, and they're showing here initially that it may be indeed against Laval. We'll wait here. We haven't received a preliminary signal. So both teams causing, that's an interesting one. You rarely see it, but both teams an infraction. In other words, one didn't pull the other off, but both of them were offside. So that down will be replayed.
And it will be 2nd and 7 again. This Laval team resilient. Last week they trailed 15-7 to Concordia, but got it to overtime, and that's where they won it. Working on a perfect 6-0 season. Groux back to the airs. 2 for 2 over the middle, and Mathieu Leblanc will have enough for a first down. That's his 30th catch of the year. And again, John, talk about a guy running a good route. He got beyond the first down yard marker there.
He did, and watch here, because Jermaine Thomas almost makes the catch right here. Jermaine almost there. Groux just getting away, but again, a well-disciplined pattern coming back to the inside. Prince Moenga again, just 1.5 steps away.
Farrell, the defensive player of the week in the conference, and Moenga make the tackle. So the Rouge are with a good-looking drive here to start things. They're at the Acadia 32. Inside handoff by Canaillos with a hole. He picks up 8 on first down.
So Canaillos getting a chance to start in place of Yao. This is a great opportunity for this young man. Acadia can't afford to give up these on first down, as you see him split and get upfield off the guard position in a quick opener. Does a good job here keeping the legs moving. Too much on first down for Acadia.
It's 2nd and 1. Maybe a little more than a yard. So the Rouge are looking crisp here through the air and on the ground to start. They go back to Allard Canaillos. He'll run right, He finds a hole again, and he gets down near the 10-yard line. 2 straight fine runs for Guillaume Arcadia.
Laval does an excellent job of getting bodies on bodies. Nobody goes unblocked, and you can hardly see the white shirts for the red, and that's the reason that it's successful. And so Acadia will have to go more on the attack. We need to get people going at those red jerseys a little bit quicker. Don't hesitate. If you lay back and wait for them to come to you, they're going to be in trouble.
That's a big offensive line as it's a 1st and 10. They go back to the ground to Arcadia's near the 5-yard line. And technically, Laval can get another first down, but it's about the first down yard marker about half a yard shy of the goal line. But obviously, they're thinking 6 points right now.
I wouldn't doubt that they come back inside because they've been successful in the last 4 or 5 plays. So look from tackle to tackle for this play in a 2nd down situation where, yes, they could get a first, but it'd almost probably be an end zone. If Acadia can stop them here, it'll make a tough decision for Laval whether they go or take the field goal.
It's a 2nd and 5 from just the Laval side of the 5-yard line. Takes it to Allard Camayos. Screw buying himself some time. So the Rouge striking first and bringing their crowd to its feet. That is Laurent Levin-Mass, his 2nd catch of the drive.
Now watch on the replay, you'll see a receiver under and a receiver over, and almost the defender with the receiver under almost gets a hand on it. That's how close the patterns will run. But they make the reception, and it is a touchdown on the first drive. Well put together from start to finish.
How about Benoit Gros? We know he's efficient, but he looked terrific on that drive as Cameron Tackett kicks the extra point. So far, so good for the Rouge et Or.
And the Rouge et Or, I think, will go back from this drive with the 7 points, plus knowing that they'll probably be able to run inside today. We're going to have to see whether Acadia can then take that away. I thought Acadia on that drive did an excellent job of getting some pressure on the quarterback. They seem to be just a little step slow on the defense in the defensive backfield to pick up the receivers. They're going to have to improve on that. And again, here we see the replay as Gru rolls to his right, and there's the underneath, well covered, and there's the open receiver a little bit deeper, and we can't allow the people to get McNally just a little bit late picking up his receiver.
2nd touchdown catch of the year for Laurent Levin-Mass. And credit Gru for throwing well into the wind. 4 of 4 on that drive, and he didn't skip a beat. So it's up to Acadia, obviously, to answer back, even if they can't score a touchdown, to put a good drive together, because you don't want to get behind this team early by a big margin.
It'll be interesting here to see what happens with this kickoff after the touchdown by Laval into a very, very strong breeze. So the Acadia front 5 better be prepared here in case this ball hangs up. It could be anyone's ball. So they're going to have to be wide awake. They can't afford to turn that ball over. The offense will have the wind at their back and an opportunity to operate in the air.
Look at Cale Inglis. He is one of the deep men for the Axemen. Matt Carter will field that kick. Carter gets to the near side and steps out of bounds. You heard the whistle, and Glenn Constantine was effusive in his praise for Matt Carter when I spoke to him before the game. Carter's really picked it up in the last couple of weeks. Chris Judd, good week last week against the St. FX Axemen, leading the conference with 13 touchdowns, only 4 picks. And we saw in the pregame he wants to make the most of his 5th and final season of eligibility here at Acadia. Axemen to start from their 38-yard line. Judd to the air early. Looks for Barungi, and that's knocked out of his hands right away. And Barungi well covered. Rudy Jean, the defensive lineman, dropping back to help there too.
So running a little bit of a zone blitz type package, and that's why Rudy Jean was dropping back. But he came in underneath so close to the line of scrimmage, we couldn't tell whether he was getting double coverage there or not. And they came out 43. Laval came out in a standard 43 defense. I'd like to see them spread them out a little bit, and I don't think that you want to see Barungi underneath.
2nd and 10. Boy, is this crowd loud. Judd going to put it way out of the range of Inglis, who was coming out of the backfield. Letourneau on the coverage For the Rouge, joined by Maxime Berube, the rookie who's playing free safety today.
And Jednet's receivers on those two plays were out of sync, totally out of sync, so they're going to have to settle down. It wasn't really so much the wind as the receiver didn't seem to run that streak pattern that Judd was throwing to. Well overthrown. They should be able to pick up half decent field position again with the punt with the wind at their back, but they're going to have to take the ball back from Laval before they score again.
Picks out a punt. That'll get down to the 33-yard line. And the Rouge were brought down shortly thereafter as Matthew Picard fielding the punt. Let's show you the drive right off the bat from the Rouge. That was a big one to get them started, John, to Levin Mass.
Always working against that zone, coming in underneath to the soft spots.
A couple of good games, too, by Allard Cameos, who's in for Pierre-Luc Yao today. And then finally the touchdown pass. And I thought Brew really bought himself some time in play action there. And they go back to work on offense, does Laval. Lots of movement in the backfield. They go to Allard Cameos, who will pick up about 3 on first down.
So running straight ahead, looking to see after that last drive where they picked up some running room after they got into the Acadia end of the field, coming back real quick to see whether they can do that very short pickup, maybe 2 yards.
Be interesting too, John, as this game goes, to get your thoughts on this Rouge offensive line. I know when we were here 2 years ago, it's a different unit, but you really were impressed by the way they played, and you could tell they were well coached. So we'll get your thoughts as this game wears on about that very fact. 2nd and 8. Grew looking for Levin Mass again, and he has it. Shoved out of bounds by Matt Bishop, or they're going to move it up again, and boy, Grew throwing into the wind.
And I think what Peter Rutgazer was saying before the game is tending to come true, is you see him run to the sidelines, and the coverage is not there. And yes, Acadia's DBs are being pressed right now, and they're going to have to step up here and play a little bit better. Right now, they're just being outrun, and the patterns are being run very disciplined by Laval.
Bishop, I believe, in where Matt Philbrick would normally be as they go back to the ground to our Cameos. And look at Farrell get in there and bring him down. A flag late in the play as it developed.
And that preliminary signal is holding by Laval.
Here's Peter on the sidelines. Pete?
Thank you very much, Dan. You know, this Laval Rouge team, they like to pass the football, and leading that passing attack is quarterback Benoit Grew. He is the 2nd-ranked quarterback in the nation. He's completed 67% of his passes. He's averaging over 330 yards per game, and he's only been picked off 4 times this season, and he likes to spread the ball around. A prime example of this, last weekend in the victory against Concordia, 5 players caught at least 4 passes in that game. This Acadia defense, they have not seen a passing attack like this all season long. They're in for a major test here today. Dan, back to you.
Well, he's 5 for 5 so far, Peter, and going with the short passes and another long one to Levin Mass.
And here's the holding on the left side of the screen there. Number 55 will be coming down inside. There's the flag, and they did accept the penalty, so it took them back 10 yards. So it'll be first down repeated and about 17. And this is where you want to look in for something like a screen pass or a draw on this 1st or 2nd down.
Well, they're going to stay on the ground. I like the look of Allard Cameos, kind of a long and lean running back. He gets to the 40-yard line. I want to say hi to Jonathan Vitito, who's watching from Sackville, Nova Scotia today, our senior technical producer, who's taking it easy. I'm sure he's nice and warm today, and we're really glad you could tune in to watch us. John, we miss you.
Well, when we left Halifax this morning at 6:35, it was nice and warm. When we arrived in Montreal, it was chilly.
Chilly and windy, real chill factor there. We're not complaining. We're thrilled to be here as Grew is flushed out of the pocket, and Knox is going to take him down. So Knox, whose father is here today, taking advantage of good coverage downfield. Let's show you our turf trivia question for today. 4 teams have won back-to-back Vanier Cups. Name the teams. We'll have that question again and the answer for you in the 3rd quarter.
And yes, Sean Knox's dad is here along with another, quite a few people in the Acadia contingent. I had a chance to visit them while they were tailgating here this afternoon, and they seem to be having a lot of fun.
So Matthew Perron on to punt. He's averaged just under 35 yards per punt this year. 11 punts last week for an average of 33 yards per punt against Concordia. Carter and Mwenga are deep for the Axemen. You can see the wind knock that down as Mwenga takes it at the 20-yard line. Flag on the play. Mwenga's going to try and find a hole, and he'll get about 5 on the return, and we'll see what that orange flag indicates this time around.
And there are 2 down, and it may be that you end up with no yards, and then you end up with illegal block. We'll wait and see for the signals to come, but it's imperative here for the Acadia offense to put something together. They did not look good in their first drive. They do have the wind advantage, so they've got to translate that not only to field position, but they've got to put some points on the board as well.
Can they run against this Rouge defense?
They can, but will have to be quick openers. And right now we see the signals being given, and that is the no yards, and then that's the illegal block from behind.
Now, when you say quick openers, what do you mean?
Straight handoff, going straight ahead, nothing lateral. So the back's in motion, one snap before the ball comes out. He takes the handoff right there. All that offensive line has to do against this big D line is cover the man jersey-wise, and the back has to get through the gap.
The Axemen, their second possession offensively of the game, scrimmage from their 25. They give it to Inglis, who'll look for some room on the left side. He slips down after a gain of about 4. Inglis's best game as an Acadia Axemen came last week against St. FX. He broke that big 55-yard run that really broke that game open and took away any hope that the Axemen had to get back into that one.
Did a good job on getting outside on the handoff and taking it wide, and then as he stepped with his inside foot to go up, he slid out. But Laval does a good job of using that sideline as the 13th player, and that was well shown on that play.
Inglis now with 511 yards on the ground this year. A little screen, dangerous looking one out of the backfield to him. Not enough for the first down as he gets out to the 30-yard line. Acadia quick in its pursuit defensively.
Laval was doing a good job there on reading that out, and the screen I thought was going to come from Laval last series actually ends up coming from Acadia. But when you get a team as Acadia was doing, and then we saw Laval coming real fast, the screen looks good because they're getting upfield. But this Laval team is very well disciplined, and the player responsible for screen to his side was there to pick it up.
Michener on to punt once more. Go to Dwayne John. That's a good kick as John has to retreat back to his 35. A dangerous runner, but a good tackle by Farrell, who got him with one arm. This kid does it all. I want to remind you to stay tuned at the half. I spoke with Monty Mosier just yesterday about mainly what's going on in the AUFC with all the rescheduling that has to be done. Be sure to tune in for that. And Farrell, a demon even on special teams. He got down quickly that time.
Dwayne John, as you said, a very good runner. And he was looking to the sideline because they were setting up a picket fence coming up along. Had he got another 5 to 10 yards, he might have got behind that picket fence.
Boy, you remember names like Matthew LeBlanc and Dwayne John from 2 years ago when we were here. And you would think they're just that much better now than they were in 04. Allard Canayos puts the head down and rumbles ahead for about 7. Knox, Farrell, and Bishop in on the tackle for Acadia.
So what we see Benoit Group doing on the handoff in the backfield is that he will almost ride the running back for 2 or 3 steps. That allows him in some situations to hold those linebackers in because he can pull that out of there and then throw a pass if he finds the linebackers are being real aggressive. And on that one, they picked up probably 4 or 5 yards because those linebackers couldn't be.
They're going to call it 6, 2nd and 4. Again, Allard Cameo straight up the middle, John, and he will fall forward over midfield for another first down.
These are the kinds of plays when we were asking about quick dives that I'm talking about, where the handoff, the running back is in motion to the line of scrimmage. And his momentum is going to pick him up a couple of yards. And if the offensive line is getting their bodies on the defense, it may be that he picks up more. And that's what Cameos is doing right now.
That's something we saw of Jacques Lambala a couple of weeks ago when he was at his best for St. Mary's. So another first down for the Laval Rouge. And look at that play is getting in quickly defensively. James Barkley, Laval fooling no one that time around.
They were trying to run a trap, and they pulled a tackle on the left side, I believe, and that's where the opening occurred. And so everybody was blocking down to help out with that pulling lineman, and that's where the linebacker came in very quickly to make the tackle. A good-looking play by James Barkley.
Barkley out of Freelton, Ontario. That's his 28th tackle of the year. It's going to make it 2nd and 11. Drew likes to go out of that shotgun. His pressure coming from Markin and almost picked off in and out of the hands of Matt Bishop. That might have been the break the Axemen were looking for here in the first quarter.
And I'm not sure that Matthew Gru's arm Benoit Gru's arm didn't get touched because the pressure was on. Got to pick off those interceptions. Those are the plays we were talking about. Besides being relentless, you have to get those bounces. You have to get those plays. Right now, Acadia defense has really started to play much better than they did on that first drive. And now if they can get the offense along for the ride here, we could have a heck of a first quarter.
Perrin again on to punt. Jonah, I know you have to look that ball into your hands in that situation, but it has to be tough not to put your mind ahead to what you're going to do after you catch it. So often you'll see that happen in a situation just like that. Perrin's Buddha, wobbly one to Carter at the 31. Carter a couple of moves, and he tries to kick it to the outside. But Carter, a good job to get where he did. Maxime Berube, the rookie free safety, taking him down.
Now, if I'm Acadia coach and I'm talking to my unit in the sideline, they now start to realize they can play football with these guys. They got set back on their heels on that first drive by Laval. Now they have to settle down and execute well on offense.
Well, we've seen primarily passing attempts for Judd, who is 1 of 3. We don't have complete live stats for you today, as we normally do. Acadia starts from their 44 and through the hands of Cale Inglis. A lot of mustard on that ball from Judd.
Inglis was there coming out of the backfield. A nice play because the linebackers then have to pick him up. And the ball was just a little bit high, a little bit overthrown.
And John, that's not something we see a heck of a lot out of Acadia. We've seen it a couple of times already, but see the Axemen trying to go to Inglis out of the backfield. He's caught 6 passes all season long. So automatically into another passing situation, but a flag before the play even gets underway.
It could be that we've got a situation here where we'll wait for the signal, but it could be a time violation, but it is being marched off against. Now, I suspect there's an objectionable conduct, and it may be because of the noise level that took place when Acadia broke the offense. Because in your ballpark, and we see them talking to Glenn Constantine, you're responsible, the home team's responsible for any sound that goes off when a team breaks the huddle. They are allowed to not be interfered with because of signals, and I believe that was the call that was made. Very sharp by the officials. And in a stadium such as this, the home team really has to be responsible for when you turn that music on and off.
So 1st and 10 inside the final minute, and another whistle and flags before this play gets off.
And that was just ugly along the line because we got offensive movement, defensive movement, and, you know, maybe it's going to be another one of these where both sides, but we'll wait for the call here. But there was a lot of early movement here. That's illegal procedure against Acadia, so they're going to be set back 5. Now, you do want to get some quick counts as I talk. That would help an offense. Don't keep them hanging around. Don't let the defense get set. You can see the defense right there. All turned towards the coach, Constantine. They're getting their defense from there. Get your ball club up to the line here, and let's get a quick count, and let's get after them.
Judd buckles the helmet with 25 seconds to go in the half. He hands off to Inglis, who has some room on the right side. Cale Inglis bulls his way back over midfield. However, not enough for the first down after that penalty, but a good gain by the rookie running back.
That was a good gain, and see, we get a log block here coming around by number 50 on the outside. Adam Rogers, the experienced old lineman. If you can get that log block all the way around, you close him off, you close off the linebackers being able to get out there, and I believe that's what helped Inglis pick up the, look to me, almost close to 10 yards when you consider the penalty on the play.
Justin Morrow, the defensive back, made the tackle. This should be the final play of the first quarter. They fake it to Inglis, and there's James Price with enough for the first down. Another good game for the Axemen as they start to march. They trail at 7-0. You're watching Atlantic University Sports Football here on Eastlink Television, as we're glad to be with you here from Pep Stadium in Laval.
A beautiful play-action play. Caught the defense. Good-looking catch by Price. They're going to need everybody, Carter, Price, etc. today. And if Judd can start hitting people, they can start moving this football.
7-0, the Axemen trailing the Rouge. Stay with us. So after James Price made his 10th catch of the season, he limped off. We hope he can come back. I just can't get over it, John. From our vantage point, from what the cameras are picking up, the crowds here are just terrific. It's the way it should be.
It is, and earlier, doing a walkabout in the tailgating, talking to some Quebec fans, they were saying that their biggest crowds come on a Sunday. Well, there's not a lot of room right now to fit anybody else in this park, but it's excellent. It's just a mini version of where I was 2 weeks ago down in Foxborough, where you saw 68,000 people and 40,000 tailgating. But this at 18 and 20,000 is starting to get that kind of a atmosphere.
I hear the rumor that some folks tried to lure you into a drink or two, but I know you abstained before the game. Although a nice warm beverage would have been pretty good right about now. Axemen are looking good here on offense. Judd buying some time. He goes over the middle. And Carter, does he pull it in?
They have not ruled it incomplete, so we'll have to wait and see whether they take it back to the line of scrimmage or put it. They're taking it back, so it was incomplete. We get the signal. I'm not sure why we noticed that St. Mary's, the last game we did here 2 years ago, come in here and try to throw so much underneath, whether it's because of the play of the linebackers, whatever. But it's unusual. We don't see that in our conference back home, where teams are trying to throw that ball to receivers underneath so close to the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 10 from the Laval 38-yard line. Judd sprinting right. He looks for a man. He's got a maze. Drop the ball. He's wide open.
He was wide open, and he could have even chose Barangi too, who was a little bit, perhaps a little bit further underneath. But both of the receivers was open. May's got to make that catch. Now it is cold, but he's got gloves on. So again, Acadia misses, as they did on defense, missing the interception. That would have been big. This reception would have kept the drive going. So they can't afford to do that.
Sure, they had to feel good about the nice first down connection between Judd and Price, but just not able to keep things rolling right there. So Michener is on for the punt. John, the lone man, back for Laval. Michener standing at the Laval 50-yard line. There's Dwayne John. That ball rotating sideways. Flag on the play that John will get out over the 35-yard line, where he's brought down once again by Steve Farrell.
And this is something for you to think about. When you're kicking into a strong win like that, when you're not real deep, but you're at the other team's 40, you should seriously consider going on a third down situation. The exchange here is not going to be good. If that penalty was against Acadia, and it was, but with the line, they took that gain on the return. But the problem is that with that strong win, there may be times you're going to say, look, we're playing 3-down football after we get to their 40 all the way in.
Benoit Gros off to a great start today. 6 of 7 for 80 yards. And a touchdown pass to Laurent Levine-Massé, who had 3 catches in the first quarter. Of course, in the first week of Interlock, I think the game that we did, Montreal at St. Mary's, was the closest that the Atlantic Conference came to winning that day. St. Mary's had a great chance to win, but really at that point in their season, they weren't able to put the ball in the end zone. They're at Concordia today as Allard Cameos is tripped up by Farrell reaching back. He picked up about 5 on first down.
And we can hear the smack coming from up here, coming from the field. And there you see Coach Constantine talking to his defense. He will always be telling them from the sidelines. They look to him for it. Good smack right there by Farrell, coming up to make that tackle to hold it to about 5 yards.
Those are the numbers we just talked about. 6 of 7 for Gros. 2nd and 5 now. He has 3 receivers starting out to his right, but he'll look left. Dwayne John is between the DBs and makes a fine catch over his shoulder all the way down to the Acadia 32-yard line.
And so Laval knows right now, if they didn't know before the game, that they have an opportunity to exploit on defense, and they do it here once again. Great protection by that offensive line, Benoit Gros, and there you see Dwayne John getting loose behind Pat McNally. They've got to close that down. They can't allow free runners like that.
Well, Dwayne John coming into action, 28 catches for 415 yards. He had 4 grabs for 111 yards last week. So Laval, Bisséan not dressed today, but he's got 28 passes. Matthew LeBlanc now has 30 on the season, and so does Dwayne John. Nice when you can have 3 receivers like that to go to. And of course, we saw what Levine-Massé can do.
And I'd like to see on the next series on offense by Acadia, I'd like to see them bring Barungi into the game. We did see him on an earlier pattern where he was open, and let's put some pressure on that Laval defense, and let's go to the person who can make the big plays for us.
That was Patrick McNally, the injured player. Interesting to see that play, John. You could see that Crew had 3 receivers sort of crisscrossing to his right, but I think he had his eye on John the whole way. He found that seam between the 2 DBs. We'll listen in on Glenn Constantine. And let's take a look at the stats from the first quarter. 7 first downs to 2 for Laval. Total yards 128 to 28. And
it was all Laval probably for the first half, and then Acadia came on maybe in the last 2 or 3 minutes. And what was happening, Acadia just a step slow on defense, which we saw, which hurt them a little bit. And offense, it took them that much time. For probably the last 2 series of that quarter, the offense looked good. So they've got to pick it up.
No, you don't like to see anybody injured. Pat McNally, in his 4th year out of Moncton, is being carried off the field by his teammates at this point.
And again, one of the things I've said it in the past, when we show shots on the sideline, when we see Coach Constantine working with his players, I really like to see that during games. I want to see coaches using game time on the sideline in a positive manner, not dressing in a positive manner, using that as a schooling technique. And good coaches around the league do that. And players really appreciate it.
Do you think players in this day and age, the days of being intimidated, being screamed at, that doesn't work anymore for the most part?
That's correct. And really, it works just the opposite.
1st and 10 from the 34 as Grew using his feet this time. He has a wide open receiver and another connection for Benoit Grew. So he's been so efficient today as he gets that into the hands of Samuel Gregoire Champagne for his 2nd catch of the afternoon.
Well, good for Gregoire Champagne because he comes back towards his quarterback, running his pattern deep, running his receiver off, and then noticing that nothing was happening, he comes back and picks up the ball.
Prince Mwenga was working on him.
So we get a holding call here against Laval. Acadia obviously accepts that penalty, takes it back, so it'll be a 1st down repeated and 20 yards. So fortunate there because Laval was moving deep into Acadia territory.
Well, maybe that's why Grew had so much time with that hold, but I'm really impressed by his composure.
He got outside and chose not to run, so that was interesting.
Out of the shotgun again. Grew hands off and fakes the handoff rather. He'll put that one up into the corner, double coverage, and almost picked off by Prince Mwenga. Laurent Levin-Mass was the intended receiver.
And another flag on the play, and this is going to be against Farrell for a late hit on the quarterback, and you're just not going to get away with that stuff. It wasn't a smart move. As Benoit Grew right here, the ball is gone. Boom, he hits him. We don't see the result in here, but I was watching that closely. Almost an interception again. Okay, we got to make these interceptions too. Granted, it would have come back, but they didn't know that at the point. So a couple of plays there, not positive things for Acadia.
That'll set the ball at the Acadia 28-yard line. This Laval team averaging 459 yards per offense per game. 1st in the country. Ayard cameos straight ahead. In the 1st quarter, he had 10 carries for 51 yards.
And it's got to be frustrating for the Acadia coaching staff, you know, to come into somebody's house with the environment that this one has and to see your players making those kinds of mistakes that can make the difference in this game for them. The missed interceptions, picking up a bad penalty at a bad time because they had them in a 2nd and very long situation.
Yeah, they've had their chances. Mays dropped that ball as well. Bit of a failure to execute, but only down 7-0 as Laval threatening again. They go underneath to Mathieu Leblanc, and he is tackled effectively as Bishop stopped up and got him, and got some help from the ever-present Farrow as well.
And coming up very quickly in Bishop's part because they had really dropped off quickly, so he had to make up a lot of time, and he does. And he gets up there and limits this to keep it down, to keep it to a 3rd down situation, and there you see the tackle.
So Bishop had him low, Farrow got him high. And we're going to get our first look at Cameron Takacs today. He's from Brantford, Ontario, the home of Wayne Gretzky. He's going to attempt this one from 28 yards. He's 16 of 18 this year. And he can make that 17 for 19 as Laval goes up 10-0. So Takacs hits from 28 yards.
Good-looking kick right out of the back of the end zone, so they picked up one. Even if it was wide, it was not wide, so they get the 3.
Acadia coming into this game at 4-2. And it's funny, I remember, I think 2-3 years ago, talking to Jeff Cummins, and it was before we came up here to do the St. Mary's game. He said, you know, I'd love to go up there. I think, you know, to be the best, you have to play the best. So a good opportunity for these guys today, as you saw Judd's numbers after 15 minutes of play. Acadia scrimmaging from the 35. Inglis, the carry. Runs into a wall of red.
Trying their dive play, but again, perhaps the timing not as good. Needs to be a little bit quicker.
Michel Jean-Louis, the tackle. The time for our Ask the Coach question. Just wondering, can you score a point Rouge on a kickoff? That's from Gerard McDonald. John?
Well, thank you, Gerard. And it comes in a good time after that field goal, which I said, had it been wide, went out, would have got a point anyways. And you can do that in the field goal. But on a kickoff, yes, you can score a Rouge, but it must land in the end zone and go out. Cannot go in the air out.
Peter was right. You were pretty much our encyclopedia. Barungi catches it, but he didn't give it up. The Rouge think they have it. The official right there saying it's down. And it's going to be credited to Ivan Barungi, his first catch of the afternoon.
Nice to see him make that catch.
Boy, the official was right there, John. He had his eye on it all the way.
And here we'll have a look at it ourselves and see if we can pick up. And here we see him coming right now. And there he gets hit. There's the ball out. Whoa, right there. We see the fumble. And that is a fumble. Wow, if they were using replay, instant replay, that might have gone to Laval.
Well, that's why we have all the camera work and all the cool gadgets to bring you that stuff at home. Carter, did he step out and then step back in? Hard to see from over here, but the official was right in front of him.
The other official comes in and signals out of bounds. So, and that was the official that was on the line, so perhaps in a better position to make the call. So that was no catch, ruled no catch.
Cummins, also the defensive coordinator, of course, talking to his leader, Farrell, on defense.
Trying to listen in with the noise surrounding us. It's very, very difficult to pick up what had been said, but it would be a 2nd and 10 for Acadia.
From their 46-yard line. Judd is looking for James Price, who has to adjust on the ball, and incomplete as he was being watched by the rookie, Maxime Deroubet.
And it was there for Price as he turned around and had to take a step. He just could not bring it in. Defender close enough, make it difficult for Price. And as we were talking earlier on that question on Ask the Coach, the kickoff has to land either in the field of play and then go through the end zone, in the end zone and out, so it must land. The reason that came to mind was the other one where I was coaching at Mount Allison when we were playing on the island, and we had a kicker who kicked the ball off the kickoff with the wind at his back, up through, actually went through the uprights, landed in and went out of bounds. That was at the start of the game, so we were up 1-0 before the game clock started.
Mitchner's third punt of the day, and it's blocked. He's going to go after it. He's not going to get there. Acadia going to be in trouble again defensively, it would look like, as it's recovered by Samuel Fournier. 10-0, Laval leading Acadia.
You're watching Atlantic University Sport Football on Eastlink Television. Brought to you in part by the Chronicle Herald. Our lives, fresh daily. Teletech. 300 jobs available at www.higherpoint.com.
And the heat came quickly. There was 2 people in there who might have got their hand on the ball. A big turnover here in the Acadia end. Acadia now calling the timeout. Farrell just didn't like what he saw. I don't think they were positioned correctly, or he was getting some signals from the bench at least. This is difficult for Acadia because they had started playing much better, starting to get Barungi involved in the game, and now they find themselves deep in their own end, having given up the ball on a turnover.
The ball's going to be at about the Acadia 36-yard line. And we've seen the efficiency of this Laval offense as we'll take another look at it. Fournier getting through. That went off the back of Flaxman.
So the Flaxman backing into him, and there we see the recovery being made by Laval. Kicker seemed a little bit slow getting that ball away. He's going to have to speed up. Mitch is going to have to speed up those steps.
So Laurent Levin Mass, the only touchdown of the day so far, the wide receiver, early in the first half. First quarter, as a matter of fact. And a 28-yard field goal from Cameron Takis. That's taking care of the scoring so far for Laval. Through the air again. He goes underneath with the flag on the play. Allard Cameus. He's tackled by Allen.
And the preliminary signal is holding. So no doubt Acadia will accept that because the reception was made. Now the pickup was only about 4 or 5. They might choose, but I think where they're deep in their own end, they'll take it and march it back. And one of the interesting things, Dan,
holding Laval, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And we mentioned it just briefly in the pregame, and that is if Acadia is successful back home and win their conference, and Laval, who's #1 here now and winning, there could be a repeat visit, and this could really help Acadia this game here today, regardless of how the turnout is.
Yeah, the UTEC Bowl, as they go on the draw play to Allard Cameus. Won't have enough for a first down, but the UTEC Bowl will be played at the Quebec Conference Champions Field, and of course it's between the Atlantic champion team, and a lot to be decided until then, but it is a definite possibility that on November 18th these two teams could be going at it here once more.
And here's the draw play, and there's James Barkley just running right by it, or he had it in the backfield, and then we see Farrow there making the tackle, getting up very slowly.
7:38 to go in the first half. Let's go down to Peter.
Thank you very much, Dan. You know, one thing you keep hearing time and time again about this Laval football program, it's that it's run like a U.S. college program, and there's a reason for this. Head coach Glenn Constantine, he spent 3 years as a graduate assistant coach at the University of Houston. Now, when he became Laval's head coach back in 2001, he used his experience with the Cougars to form the blueprint of the way he would run the Laval program, and boy, it's really worked. Back-to-back Vanier Cup titles, 2003, 2004, and in the last 6 years, 15 Laval players have been drafted by CFL teams. That sounds pretty good. Dan, back to you.
It certainly does, Peter, and maybe that gets overlooked sometimes, John, that you want to win championships, but you also want to develop good players and let them realize their dreams, and Laval really has done that, as Peter just mentioned.
That's something else that Constantine, besides, like I said, being a very good coach and very open, he really prides himself in taking care of his players.
He talked about the model after the Houston Cougars and that offense, where they know how to distribute the ball through the air. They've shown that over the years. 2nd and 18. Blue as a man open, almost picked off by Elliot Richardson, as in coverage was Levin Mass. He had a couple of Acadia players trailing him. If you would like to send an email to the coach and have your question answered, it's askthecoach@eastlink.ca. That won't be the case next week. We're not doing any of the games that have been shifted around. There's 2 games on Friday night. As things stand right now, we won't do either. Friday afternoon, I should say, at Mount Allison. Acadia at Mount Allison at 3, and then a game scheduled for Halloween. But we will be there for the playoffs.
And Acadia doing a good job on defense there, holding on that turnover to a punt here.
Matthew Powell is the 2nd punt of the day. That'll fall to Mwenga at the 9. And he slips and falls at the 10.
Well, I think that Laval was very fortunate there that they didn't get called for holding, because one of the Acadia players coming on a punt rush seemed to have the right step and an open and got pulled back by the jersey, but referee not in the position to make that call. So we'll be deep in their own end under 10. But the defense, after coming on the field because of the block punt, were able to hold them to no points.
Well, John, they are deep in their own zone, and a good chance for Acadia to show what they can do right here. It's still just a 10-0 game, and they would love to put together a long march down the field. They're certainly capable of doing it. Barungi has 1 catch today. Will they go back to him? Inglis in motion. They're going to hand it to fake it to Preventative, and not much there on first down.
Again, difficult running laterally on this team because they move very quickly. That the linebackers, the defensive line does a good job of protecting their linebackers. That allows them to scrape from right to left, and as they scrape down the line, good job here moving up to make the tackle.
With a tackle on Inglis by Eric Miranda, 34 tackles coming in and 2.5 sacks. That's another name I remember from a couple of years ago. A dominant linebacker in this Quebec Conference, number 55 for the Laval Rouge et Or.
As you watch Miranda move move to his right or his left, you see that tremendous ability, lateral movement, which a linebacker needs to possess.
So 10-0 here with 6:45 to go in the first half. We see some of the fans having a great time. A lot of them with scarves and mitts and drinking cold beer. So they're a hardy bunch. So I would say with the wind chill, it's got to be down around 3 degrees, maybe 4 degrees today.
Certainly not much more. The forecast was to get up to 8 or 9, but that wind is taking any opportunity for that temperature away.
So just a pickup of 2 on first down for Cale Inglis. Judd will go to the far side to the fullback to Benedict. He'll reach for the first down mark. I'm not sure if he got there or not. We'll see.
Looks like he came up a little bit short, but doing a good job there. Again, they brought the back out of the backfield, getting the ball to him, tried to turn it up. Looks like to be of a 3-yard short here, so they will have a third down and need to punt that ball away.
That's to Benedict's 3rd catch of the year. Show you the standings for the 2006 season. You see the only team with 7 games, McGill, they get the 2 points. They get the win and a forfeit because they had to cancel the game at St. X, Concordia, and Laval. Not much to choose between those 2 teams, and Montreal always seemingly in the mix as well.
And that forfeit 2 points was done within their conference, did not involve the AUS.
So 6:22 to go. Another little note there for our buddy Jonathan Bidideau, who's watching, and one of many watching today, we would hope, as Michener waits at the 5. Remember, he had the last punt go off his teammate, Tom Flaxman. There's a fine-looking kick, as that will go back to John, who had to go back over midfield. And he gets wrapped up quickly. A nice tackle downfield by Mike Leahy, the 2nd-year linebacker out of North Vancouver. And John, not a happy man right now.
Well, that was an excellent kick into the wind. Michener doing a terrific job of getting that ball up. And then the downfield tacklers, great positioning to take it away quickly. Jean tried to get out to the outside. Good coverage by Acadia.
Yeah, credit Michener into that wind. He really helped his team out there with a kick. The ball will be placed right at the center stripe. As Acadia hoping to hold the foul once again on defense. Large Cameos puts the head down and might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Sean Knox quickly through for Acadia on defense.
So Laval trying to come back inside where they've had some success running so far in this game. Now with the 2nd down and long, they've got the wind at their back. Probably as we see them set up quads or 4 receivers to the left of the screen.
Through to the air quickly. They go underneath and wrapped up immediately. Michel Pontbriand, his first reception of the afternoon and 14th of the season. Won't be enough for a first.
It won't, and it was an excellent job there by Nick Lozano to come up very quickly to take that away, to hold it down and force Laval to kick away. But what's happening is that gradually, it was 5-10 the last time. Let's see where Acadia fields this ball, but they're having trouble right now with field position going into an extremely strong wind.
Perrin on once more to kick. Allen and Mwenga looking for something big. The Axemen really could use a big play on special teams here. And a nice kick by Perrin. That will skip out of bounds at about the 4-yard line.
Mwenga might have had thoughts of letting it go in the end zone and giving up the point to get the field position, but it bounced out. That's a perfect kick. Coaches like to see that because now you're pinned down inside the 5-yard line. It couldn't have been better for Laval.
And Perrin got the spiral working on that boot. Had the wind at his back also. So Acadia again with the poor field position to start this drive as the veteran Chris Judd will try and get things going.
And really what happens is these kinds of field positions cut the playbook down in better than half. There are a few plays you can choose here, and it really makes it difficult for an offense to get out.
Maynard, Price, Carter, Barungi all out to the left of Chris Judd. They go to Price underneath. Incomplete. A flag coming, John. after that collision. We'll show you what happened in a second as we take a look at our turf trivia question. 4 teams have won back-to-back Vaniers. Name those teams, and we'll show you that answer in the next quarter. So what do you see coming off that flat?
Well, we definitely had contact there, and we'll wait for the call. I believe it's interference.
Pass interference. Laval, point of foul, first down.
So you take the penalty, and the ball goes to the point of foul, and you get a first down. There definitely was contact as they came back inside.
You like that? You like to see quads for receivers when you have the ball at your 4-yard line? Is that a good way to go about it?
Like I said, that's something you don't want to put the ball up for a turnover. You do come in underneath to try to protect that from being picked off, but it's a tough choice right now.
4 receivers to the right this time, and they hand it off to Inglis, who was brought down at the 15-yard line as Miranda once again with the tackle for the Rouge.
Here we'll have a look at the replay. Trying to get something. This is a more traditional play deep in your own end. English not doing too bad a job, but only picking up about 3 yards. The other one frequently used on pass is you go back and you pass real deep. And then if it ends up being an interception, you look at it as being a good punt. That's often used from deep in your own end.
Rouge Gilbert Tremblay also in on the tackle, so it's 2nd and 8 from the 15 as the fans start to make even more noise here at Peps. Judd with time. He's looking for Carter. Double coverage. Almost picked off. Incomplete.
And that's the deep play we were talking about. And looking as that play developed underneath at Barungi. Barungi came off the line and did have an initial step, but Judd was not looking really from the very start of the play to find Barungi.
And as you say that, when Judd was going toward the sidelines, Barungi kind of pointed at himself, and then they slapped hands. And we'll see if they do indeed try to get the ball into the hands of Barungi a little bit more as this game goes along. He has 1 catch today that he did fumble that the officials didn't pick up. Acadia forced to punt once more. Michener, remember, if he sees an opening, we've seen him a couple of times this year run for first down on 3rd down in this situation. He's at his 2 as you see the goal line right behind him. And he almost had that block. A flag coming as Michener was left on the play, and a late flag as well. And Acadia say they have the ball.
Well, we got the flags coming out where the ball was fumbled by the returner. We have a flag coming out where Michener was punting. He was contacted. Now, here's the important thing. Is that 5 for contacting, or is that 15 for roughing? If it's 5 for contacting, they could come out in the worst end of this, having given up no yards. Laval will get the ball because no yards were given. So we'll have to wait and see what the call is here. This is a huge one for Acadia. 15 would give them a first down. It has to be roughing the punter in order for them to keep the ball.
And another Acadia player, John, on the field as we get the call.
Unnecessary roughness on the kicker, Laval. No yards, 15 yards, Acadia. We go back to the line of scrimmage. First down, Acadia, 1st and 10.
Well, good for them, but of concern right now, Kyle Markin is down. Let's watch the roughing the kicker call.
And why he was roughing was his leg was up in the air and very vulnerable, and he got hit on the knee. An excellent call. So it's too bad that they got the 15-yard no yards, because they would have picked up not only the first down but the yards to go with it. That
was Guillaume Senecal who was guilty of the penalty that time, and you do not like to see Kyle Markin injured for the Axemen. He is such a dominant D lineman in this conference.
Now, what happened again on that situation, why it's still at the previous line of scrimmage, is because the 15 yards was offsetting each, but the first down takes over. You're correct. Farrell was injured a little bit early. Not injured, but slow getting up and moving off the field. Kyle Markin, Farrell, huge on defense, can't afford to lose these people.
Yeah, we've seen a number of players getting bumped around for Acadia today. They will be at their own 15-yard line, so a good break for the Axemen as they're trying to get some points on the board late. That was Guillaume Senecal, 27. He ran into the punter, James Michener. Good to see James get up, too. I'm not sure if he was trying to sell it a little more, but I know what you mean. You get that leg out there in a kicking motion, and you can do some bad damage to a knee in the wrong situation.
You're correct, and a lot of kickers try to really embellish what happens, but what the referee's really watching is when he got hit, what part of his body did he get hit on, and was he vulnerable? And we saw it well on that replay, showing that he was hit on the knee when his leg was up in the air, and that's what the referee's interested on. He's not interested in seeing whether it ends up an injury or not. That's the call right there, so good job by the official.
3:09 remaining in the first half. Dan Robertson, John McNeil, Peter Rutgazer with you today from Pep Stadium at Laval University. The 6-0 Rouge and the 4-2 Acadia Axemen. And Adam Rogers moving, I believe. He stood right up. Was he drawn? We'll see.
That'll be definitely, in my opinion anyways, and we'll wait for the call, but it looked like illegal procedure. No movement there, although there was a linebacker coming up over him, and they're marching it off against Acadia, so it is illegal procedure. And Adam Rogers perhaps getting a little spooked by that linebacker moving up over him.
Illegal procedure, Acadia. 5-yard penalty. They keep first down.
It'll be 1st and 15 from the 10.
So right there we see Adam Rogers on the left moving early. Illegal procedure.
Really seemed confused there and out of sorts did Adam. Former Rookie of the Year in this conference. He's a terrific left guard. Judd underneath, they swing it to Carter. He gets a block. Matt Carter gets to the edge and maybe shy of a first down, but a good gain for the Axemen as he is pushed out about the 23-yard line. We'll see where they spot it.
And running that slip screen, bringing him in underneath the blockers as the blockers move out. Here we see him step, quick pitch out here, and there's the blockers moving in, and he runs to the outside, does a good job of picking up great yardage. It'll make it 2nd down and about 4 yards to go.
The stiff arm of Jean Petitfrère who made the tackle. First catch of the day for Matt Carter. 7 catches for 73 yards last week in that victory over St. Avex. 2nd and 4. They keep it on the ground to Inglis, who stops and kicks it to the outside. Inglis out near first down yardage. Well, at the half, Peter Rutgazer will operate the halftime show, and we'll have a taped interview with Monty Mosier, myself and Monty, from yesterday as he talks about what's going on in the AUFC.
Well, the offensive line did an excellent job for Acadia there on getting those blocks at the line of scrimmage to allow them to get outside to pick up first down. Big first down when you're deep in your own end. This is huge.
There you see 2.5 minutes to go. Judd out of the shotgun. 4 receivers to his left. Price is open underneath, and he dropped it and got knocked down to boot. It went off his right arm as he was closely watched by Sam Lajoie, the 2nd-year DB.
And why he had so much trouble is he had to turn back because the ball was a little underthrown here. As he turns back to try to catch that ball right there, it bounces off his arm. Still a catchable ball. Have to make those catches to keep drives going.
Oh, we've seen that probably 3 times now, John, from Acadia receivers, and one from Bishop, who had a good chance to pick off a ball in the first quarter. So it'll be 2nd and 10. The ball at the 27. Acadia looking for some points here in the first half. Listen to this noise. Judd with plenty of time, but now he goes down. As finally that pocket collapsed. And Michel Jean-Louis, 4th-year D lineman, getting in there defensively for the Laval Rouge. There he is.
And he's putting on negative pressure. That is, there's that Acadia player between him and the quarterback, but Michel Jean-Louis keeps that pressure, and there we see it coming. And number 56, Curtis Taylor, probably hitting the quarterback before Michel Jean-Louis, but good negative pressure. And he'll get credit for that sack.
This Laval team seems to play the game with a smile on their face. I suppose when you win so many games, it's easy to be happy. They've won 19 straight in the regular season. Lost in the Mitchell Bowl last year to Saskatchewan, and Coach Constantine addressed that in the pregame. That kick will fall down at the 42-yard line. John will come to the near side of the sidelines. Michener, the punter, making the tackle at the 32-yard line with 1:38 to go. 10-0 Laval over Acadia. Stay tuned. At the half, we're going to have that taped interview with Monty Mosier and as well a conference call with Steve Ridlington.
Well, we do have a flag down on the play. We'll wait till we sort it out. It could have been no yards. We'll wait. It came a little bit late.
No yards. Acadia, 5-yard penalty. That was going to be decline. First down Laval.
And declined to pick up the yardage that was gained, and they lost contain on the outside. Acadia did, resulted in a good game on that, gain on that return, so they find themselves on their own 32-yard line.
More good field position for Laval. Rouge looking to the corner to Levin Mass, and through his hands, incomplete, as Richardson and Matt Allen were back there defensively for Acadia. Catchable ball. Good throw.
Catchable ball, and I think the contact came at the right time, but just too much time, too much time. The pressure's coming, but too late. And here we'll see the ball in the hands, and then the hit. It was probably coming out on the way, but the hit made sure it wasn't caught.
Good to see Kyle Markin back in the game as he was putting some pressure on Rouge. 2nd and 10. Rouge looking for LeBlanc. He climbs the ladder and brings it down at the Acadia 15-yard line. Great catch.
And Rouge on that one having a lot of time because Acadia only chose to bring 3 people. So they've got 5 offensive linemen blocking. And there we see the ball released. And you can't have that many defenders and allow a receiver to get that open.
Pat McNally with the tackle. He was shaken up earlier also. They're going to spot that at about the 14-yard line. As Laval threatening again. However, Acadia, if they
wow, this is huge if it goes against Acadia. I believe it is. It is indeed, and that will give them a 5-yard penalty and 2nd down when they had them stopped. And it was just alignment. You could see from up here that there was an Acadia player on this side of the line, just a little too eager and cut down on that yard by at least a step or step and a half.
Matthew LeBlanc is the injured Laval Rouge AR player. And you want it at an even playing field. I don't have the numbers, John, of what Acadia has done with penalties, but they've had some penalties that definitely have hurt them. And that's, you know, it's hard to beat this team at the best of times.
It is, but it's worked both ways in the penalties. And when we looked at roughing the punter, for example, and a few other holding calls against the offense. So it's been more in case they dropped those interceptions they could have had, etc.
Mark Remillard checking into the game for Matthew LeBlanc. And they will look in the direction of Levin. Massey is wide open. Touchdown, Laval.
That's a big price to pay for a poor alignment that resulted in a penalty when they had them stopped. This hurts.
Oh, he had a wide open working on McNally there.
And that's correct. He's really getting more spaces to play. And again, we come back to Peter Rutgazer's comment, you know, can the defensive back for Acadia handle this potent offense and this quarterback in Benoit Rouge? And right now, they're not handling it well.
Tagas the extra point as he tacks on.
What's up? What's up? Canada, coming for y'all, man. For all of y'all.
Dwayne John having a good time, and so is this Laval offense. Be interesting to see the numbers at the half and just what they've been able to rack up so far.
And just going deep to the corner and still had quite a bit of room before he would have run out of the end zone.
So Levin Mass, 2 touchdowns as he came into action. Only 1 touchdown on the season. 4 catches unofficially. Number 80 to the right of your screen, already off to a big start today. You can see why Benoit Rouge is, the numbers have matched the performance. I mean, what we've seen coming in numbers-wise, he's lived up to those today.
And when I watch his technique, he looks very, very strong in releasing the passes, always having his body in a good position, not really throwing off the back heels, etc., stepping forward and being very authoritative with his throws.
Laval plays against Montreal next week, and they really want to win this game. If they do win this, I believe they have home field for the remainder of the playoffs, or as far as they go in the playoffs. So a huge game for Laval, and they're treating it as such. With a minute left, they lead 17-0 here in the first half. You got the feeling that if Acadia could have gotten out of that last jam with even giving up a field goal, might have made a big difference in the long run. Carter takes that with speed at the 18. Matt Carter wrapped up at the 26-yard line. This Laval team fired up right now. Quickly downfield to make the tackle. Vincent Boucher. There's the Laval flag. See a bunch of those flying around the stadium today.
They take their football very serious here, and they celebrate the day. And as you said, with the flags and then the introduction of the players, etc. And we're looking down on the field, and there was a penalty against Acadia to add a little insult to injury here, so they will have to take the ball from around their own 16-yard line.
And this is a well-heeled program too, John. They're not without funds, we know. It means a lot. First and 10 from the 16. There you see the time on the clock. Inglis, his best runs have been on the outside today. He'll pick up about 4, and those flags coming late. Inglis took a pretty good pop at the end of that play.
We'll have to wait to see what the calls are, but you're correct that surprisingly they've been able to get outside. The offensive line doing a good job of getting their log blocks on the outside people and able to get back. So we're waiting here again to see what that penalty is. So here we'll wait for the call. Then
unnecessary roughness. Acadia, dead ball foul, half the distance to the goal line. Second down.
Shooting themselves in the foot, John. You don't want to take those penalties.
And with this little time left in the half, you don't want to turn the ball over and give them a chance for a field goal, etc. And there, Jeff Cummings was talking about their offense and what happens when they keep receivers in the box to block, etc.
Second and 15. Some movement at the line. The flags late coming, but they do come. And you see the D-line of, well, Jean-Philippe Gilbert specifically pointing at the Acadia O-line to say that they drew us offside.
They did not. There was no movement, and they stepped across. They were trying to sell them on it, but it didn't work.
Offside, Laval, 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Some movement on that left side of the line. So a couple of touchdown passes from Laurent Levin-Mass. And a field goal from Cameron Takis, the scoring in the first half so far. Judd trying to draw them offside again. He's going to hand it off to Inglis, who does a nice job to spin out of that would-be tackle, and he will gain enough for the first down as he's out to the 33-yard line with 40 seconds to go.
And Curtis Taylor doing an excellent job on that draw play of getting on his block and carrying his block a little bit further. You'll see pick him up right here, doing a good job of pushing him back, and I believe that's Miranda, and he did a great job, and that picked up the extra yardage. Really huge. Get them out of here, get them out of trouble before they give up any more points.
Well, another Axemen, John, slow to get to his feet. Not sure, it might be Curtis Taylor, actually, who is on one knee. As you see the crowd here at Pep Stadium at Laval University. Glad you could join us today as we continue our coverage of Atlantic University sport football. And it's a long way to go to do a game job, and I know we've all been looking forward to this one for quite a while.
It is, and as we said earlier, it's that measuring stick to see where these teams are, and had it not been for a lot of unfortunate situations and drop balls, this score could be a lot closer. So Acadia knows that they're in this game, and they certainly could look at returning here if they're successful at home and knowing a lot about this park already.
So Mount Allison leading Bishop 7-3 in the second quarter. Boy, could they come up with their second win of the season. Wouldn't that be great for that program?
And Coach Lalonde is a graduate of Bishop University, so that would give him a lot of good feelings to to be able to get a second win against his old alma mater.
Monty Mosier writing in the Chronicle Herald today that there's an agreement in principle. They're looking at the Quebec Conference and the Atlantic Conference over the course of 3 years, all the schools playing against each other, where you'd see maybe a Laval play a Mount Allison and so on and so forth, which can only probably be good for everyone involved. 1st and 10 from the 34. They get right back to Inglis. Said a pretty good second quarter here. He'll pick up 3 on first down.
So right now, trying to keep it on the ground, keep it going, run this clock out, get off the field, regroup, hopefully come back in the second half with a little better effort out of the offense. Talk to those DBs, see what they can come up with in the defensive backfield to get a little better coverage.
That was a gain of 2. Clock ticking away here in the half. Judd looks for Barungi, reaches out and catches it over midfield. Ivan Barungi working on the rookie free safety, Maxime Berube. His second catch of the day is a long one. That's going to bring to a close the first half, but maybe we'll see more of that in the second half, John.
You have to go to Barungi, and you have to go to him more often, and that catch, I think, just ends it, showing us exactly that. Now, we have got a signal from one of the referees that the half is over. I think Acadia is wanting to get one more play in here. At this situation, we'll wait and see what they decide, but both teams have not left the field yet. Now they are.
Yeah, Laval was quick to try and get out of here, and why not? They're up 17-0 after the first 2 quarters of play. And quickly, John, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I was really impressed with Laval's ability, even without Yao in the background. Camius did a good job of running, so they exploited that and they moved the ball downfield. But it set me back a little bit to watch Acadia, a little self-destruction on some of those passes they could have intercepted on. They needed those big plays, and right now you see Coach is a little upset, and the reason for him being a little upset is that he wanted one more play.
Well, they had things moving after a first down, a couple of first downs, really. A long pass to Ivan Barungi. Now here's Peter with Jeff. Pete.
Thank you very much, Dan. Coach, you thought that you should have had one more play there, I think.
Yeah, there was 0.6 seconds left to go on the clock, and you know, we got screwed out of it. But you know, hey, you're in their place and they're timekeeper, so that's, you know, that's the way it goes.
Your offense has been kind of stagnant in the first half. What do you have to do to get it rolling?
Well, we put ourselves in a bad situation with the wind here, and we didn't get an opportunity to get field position at all in the second half. But, you know, it doesn't help us. I mean, we're getting crushed by penalties. I don't know what the ratio is, but it's absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, it's typical when we come down here.
Okay, Coach, best of luck in the second half. Okay, we're at the half. It's Laval leading Acadia by a count of 17-0. You're watching Atlantic University Sport Football right here on East Link Television, the Maritime's #1 sports channel. That easy. Welcome back. We're at the half here in Quebec City, and it's Laval all over Acadia by a count of 17-0. Time now for the Chronicle Herald report on
them being here is, as we said earlier, if they're successful in their own conference, this may very well be the place that they come back to play. And if that's the case, this game will have served a lot of purposes.
It would have been good to be here live for that Laval-Concordia game last week. I know you saw it. What did you see? What comes to mind?
Well, I didn't get to see it visually. I was receiving it via the web with audio, but there was visuals giving field position, etc., which is quite unique. But what I really got from it was the intensity put in there by both teams. And as the game came down near the end, it was obvious that Concordia had great opportunities to win it. Laval was really holding on at home, and then came through with the big plays and was able to kick the field goal in overtime after Concordia had tied it late in the game. So Concordia very, very capable. It'll be interesting to see how St. Mary's does today in their game at Concordia, because I feel that they're on a bit of a roll as well.
Yeah, that Concordia defense really knows how to shut another team down. So it's the interesting part of it too. As we get to this time of the year, you start to look around the rest of the country and see how the playoff matchups are setting up, and watch those games. And because you know, eventually the winner of this conference and the winner of the Atlantic Conference will get together. Will it be these two teams? Who knows? Looks like Acadia Well, I don't even want to say it looks like they'll finish first because it's been such a crazy year in the conference. Like we talked about in the pregame, it's you really haven't been sure from one week to the next what's going to happen.
And in both conferences, you have teams, as we spoke of Concordia, you have Montreal also in this conference that could easily pull off a playoff win. St. Mary's gaining momentum could easily pull off the playoff wins that they need to be the team to come to this conference. And then we have the Western winner, and who is that going to be? University of Saskatchewan has had a couple of setbacks in the last few weeks, and we see Manitoba still undefeated. And then you go to the Ontario Conference, and McMaster and Laurier, and McMaster suffering a defeat last week. So as you said, there are times that are getting interesting in every conference, and the weather, as we see here today, starting to become a little bit of a factor.
Yeah, the weather gets colder, the games get bigger, and the Vanier Cup is in Saskatchewan this year, so you would expect that to be a chilly situation. We're almost ready for the second half. The Axemen yet to take the field here as they trail it 17-0. In parts and spurts, the Axemen look to put together the odd good drive, but really something would happen, maybe a drop ball, a penalty that would reset them, and for those matters, they weren't able to put any points on the board in the first half.
The offense kind of set the tone on that first drive where they came out and they did not look to be set. They looked a little bit to be having a hard time getting their count down. Now, we know early in the week they talked about going on a silent count. Whether that has caused some confusion, that could easily do it. And a silent count means that you're not calling out the numbers. You've got a timing thing, and that may be causing an offensive problem. But they will get the ball to start the second half, so we'll see if the offense can do something.
Carter and Inglis await the Taka's kick. Inglis watches it go past Carter and into the end zone, where he will take a knee, John.
And that's a wise play. He made a mistake in letting that ball land. They needed to field that in the air to move it up because they're going against the wind. But once that ball had bounced, he was smart, Carter was, to allow that to bounce in the end zone, give up the point. Now they get the ball at their own 35-yard line.
Well, we'll see what you're worth. We're going to make you do color commentary without a monitor, our replay monitor, our monitor altogether. We can't see what you're seeing at home right now, so we'll muddle through, I'm sure, as they spot the ball at the 35, and the score moves up to 18-0 in favor of Laval. Judd in the first half, 2 of 5 for 16 yards. Actually, that was after the first quarter. 5 of 14 for 52 yards. Inglis straight up the middle, and I know, John, you like to see Acadia run that play. It might pick up 2 on first down.
They can try an offensive line to spread out their linemen a little bit and to get themselves a little bit of a gap by alignment. But if you're going to run inside, then you've got to run the quick opener just like that. You've got to hit that seam. Now in a second down situation, we've been looking for a pass. Let's see if they turn to Ivan Barungi early in this quarter. First half, they waited till very late.
Inglis, 8 carries, 44 yards in the first half. 2nd and 8 from the 36. Judd, there's Barungi. He has the first down yards. He ducks under a hit, and moving the change is Vincent Gagne, the defensive back, with the tackle for Laval.
And that's very nice to see, and we're told that from the truck as you watch the replay, and you'll see him curl in underneath, and it was Judd did a good job of looking off first and then coming back to Barungi. And with the receiver of Barungi's ability, the quarterback's got to do that because he's getting enough attention already. The quarterback looks to him from the get-go, he's going to get even more.
Inglis, we've seen him with some good gains on first down as he slips a tackle there and gets shoved out just as he goes over midfield. And you know, the defensive back who stepped up to try and make the tackle that time, frustrated he couldn't get him. That was Sam Lajoie, who almost had him by the feet.
And why that play was successful was that James Price, in the wide receiver position, came back in and made the critical block to allow him. You had to run a long way to get some yards, but picked up good yardage, and it would be first down.
Acadia had 55 yards on the ground in the first half. That's their 10th first down of the game. The scrimmage from the Laval 53. Inside handoff to the fullback to Benedict. He does what he does best when he has the ball, just puts the head down and crashes ahead for a gain of about 4 or 5 on first down. Not often DeBenedett carries the ball. That's just, let's see, the third time of the season. Actually, 10th time. He carried twice last week. 9 carries for 30 yards coming into action today. So it'll be 2nd and 6 from the 49. Four receivers to the right for Inglis. Anthony Mays, the only one to his left. Judd underneath, looking for Price. That was tipped. And incomplete as Marc-Antoine Beaudoin-Cloutier got the arm up.
And it was at the appropriate time. He was well blocked. He was not going to put pressure on the quarterback. And as a good defensive lineman, what you did there, Beaudoin did, you stick the hands up. And as the ball gets thrown, he's got the hand in the right position to knock it down. So an excellent defensive line play.
Sure, you're taught that from day one as a D lineman, John. Get the arms up, just like a basketball player on defense, I suppose.
It is from day one. And there are drills to get your defensive line understanding how to protect themselves with the hand from the blocker, get the other hand up in that passing lane.
So Michener on to punt once again. His 6th punt of the afternoon. He's averaged 34 yards per boot. You can see what the wind's doing to that one, as that will skip that out of bounds shy of the 20-yard line.
So a very promising drive started out for Acadia, and then down near the end couldn't convert on that 2nd down, so they had to punt the ball away. Out of bounds, so there's no return. They do have Laval in their own end fairly deep, so now it's up to the defense. Stop them here, make them punt the ball away.
See at our last look, Mount Allison leading Bishops 24-3 at the half. And Laval, well, obviously having their way here with Acadia, but Concordia 16, St. Mary's 7 at the half as Benoit grew some nice numbers through 2 quarters of play. 11 of 15, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the ground, Allard Cameos will stretch ahead to pick up about 3 on first down. He had 63 yards on 14 carries in the first half.
James Barkley there doing a good job of coming up and making the tackle, limiting that gain to about 2 yards. So this is what they want to do. Now, this is where they've had trouble in this game to date, and that is 2nd down and long yardage. They've been giving up a lot of yards passing.
Allard Cameos are going to say he got 2 that time. Ball at the 29. 4 receivers to Cruz right. He double pumps, and he hits his man enough for a first down over there. He had his receiver in isolation, Guillaume Blain-Ormond.
Well, Acadia was trying to get Kyle Markin in there, but he came on a little bit of delay and wasn't in time to put any pressure, so the receiver wide open on the sideline. Defenders now are obviously trying to keep them all in front of them to limit, but what that does is open up the underneath.
That was Samuel Gregoire Champagne with his first catch of the day. Now 16 on the year. Good for 11 yards. Play action, flag coming as Sparrow gets a piece of the quarterback. John loses the ball. It's free again. They're going to blow that dead, John, as perhaps the flag is the reason why, but lots happening in that sequence.
Well, the flag was down. It looked to me to be holding. We'll wait for the call, and then the 2 other hits popped the ball loose. I don't know why they chose, and it is the preliminary signal showing holding against Laval, but I don't know why they whistled that one down. We've got a great hit coming out, and the first ball carrier popped it loose, picked up by Laval player. He got hit with a great pop from Acadia, popped the ball loose, and that's where the whistle went, and I can't understand why, but it was whistled dead, so they will get the ball for a 2nd down situation, or depending if they take the penalty. There was no gain, so they may very well refuse it.
A Laval player injured and on the field right now as we heard a couple of big hits after that ball got loose. Both teams today
10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Doing a nice job of looking after the football, that's for sure.
And we're looking to see whether or not we can see the hits coming up. Good pops, fumble. It looks, right now they're trying to decide. It looks like Acadia's accepted that penalty, which would make it repeat first down and 20 yards to go.
John, for a man who can't see the replay, I think they're doing a good job. I'm not sure what we're seeing back home. We'll get that remedied as quickly as possible. But there you can hear all that's happening, and so it will be 1st and 20. Ball at the 29. Crew, the screen. Allard Cameos, his first catch of the game. Jamie Johnson, or Tremaine Thomas rather, reaching around and getting a hold of him.
Did a good job of getting there very quickly. Tremaine Thomas, if he was not there, that would have resulted in a huge gain, limited to 8 or 9. Remember, it was 1st and 20, so it would be 2nd down on the road 12. Laval choosing there to almost throw a screen underneath.
Oh, you even have fans offering us chips here. It's a hospitable place at that group. Couple of receivers there, and almost caught by Dwayne John as you see the Acadia DB try and adjust on that play, Jesse Ingles, but he fell.
Well, Nick, Lozano did a great job of getting pressure on, got some help from a teammate, and they hit Grew just as he was releasing the ball, causing it to fall short. Dwayne Jean almost made a spectacular catch, turning back to the inside. Just a super job by the defense. They've held him, forced him to punt. Acadia should get the ball somewhere close to midfield.
There's Matthew Perrin on to punt, as John says. It's his 5th of the day. Perrin with time, a boomer over the head of Moenga. Boy, Perrin really leaning into that. It'll go all the way down to the 5-yard line. And Moenga knocked down inside of that area. 18-0. Laval leading Acadia.
You're watching Atlantic University Sport Football on Eastlink Television. Brought to you in part by the Chronicle Herald. Our lives, fresh daily. Teletech. 300 jobs available at www.higherpoint.com.
Well, we thought that Acadia might get the ball around midfield. We got a combination of just a huge punt out of Laval. Punter with the wind at his back gets a great bounce. Prince Moenga fielded that ball down around the 5 and immediately hit by Edmund. A great tackle. He's at the 4-yard line first from the Acadia 4.
Alexandre Edmé, the backup running back, making the tackle, and not much there for Inglis on first down. So as this game goes on, it seems that Acadia is starting with worse and worse field possession.
Well, a great kicking game will do that. It will regain position where Acadia had driven and then stopped Laval in their own end. They turn right around and punt and pick up. It looked to me to be about a 65, 70-yard punt.
Second and 10, nothing on first down there for Inglis. Judd rolling out underneath, and a nice job to get a hand on it by Sam Lajoie. Incomplete. Intended receiver was Matt Carter.
Judd did a great job of the rollout, but then as he set up, he didn't see the coverage, and the coverage was very close. And here as he turns, you can see there was a little bit of a slip, and he may have seen that, and he could not get it to him.
Well, a good athletic play by Samuel Lajoie. Lajoie's second year, 6 feet, 185 pounds.
And we, would consider seriously here giving up a point with that strong wind. Kicking from inside your end zone, give up 1 point. They would have to, 2 points. They would have to kick off.
Mitchner waits just between the L and the A of Laval. They're letting that clock go down as much as they can. Looks like he's going to run that out of the end zone. You hear some boos from the Laval fans, and he does concede the 2 points. So a safety makes it 20-0 in favor of Laval.
And the reason for the running around, when most coaches would say just down it, is they want to get as much time off, because that wind, as you see the flag right there, a good shot at an appropriate time to show you what Acadia is going into. So the more seconds they get off the clock, the better for them.
I think you mentioned at the half off air that the wind has picked up, if anything, since the first of the game, and no question about that. So plenty of time for Acadia to put something positive together. Even though they're down 20-0, you'd love to see them punch one in at some point. and start rolling from there, make a game of this.
And it changes the complexion of a game because then it forces the other team to do things. Right now, Laval is playing in a very relaxed mode. And we can tell that in their offense and in their defense. If all of a sudden you put a touchdown on the board, they change gears. And sometimes that can create problems when you try to step it up and you haven't had to for so far into the game.
Well, this Acadia, the Laval team rather, used to playing out front. Although last week they had to come back against Concordia.
Well, thanks to some great work to Truck. We do have a monitor back, so we can see now. We have to admit that before it looks like we're psychics up here.
Coach or Psycho, and I'm not sure how it turned out at home. Coach Happy working hard to get things. I think he ripped this monitor out of the back of the truck, but it works. So we appreciate that. I thought that the proper thing to do would be get to an electronics store and buy us a flat screen plasma, but there's only so much time as that ball taken back over midfield by Samuel Fournier, and that's where Laval will start the offense.
And coming from the Acadia 35-yard line because they had given up the safety, so the kickoff was from the 35, not 45 that we're used to on kickoffs.
Benoit Gros has been the picture of efficiency today. He's got a couple of touchdown strikes and has picked up some first downs when needed to through the air. He's been faced with second and long.
And he's not a big quarterback, but his offensive line does a good job of opening up some passing lanes, and then he has a good ability to get out when he needs to.
Listed at just 5'9", which is a big difference from Matthew Bertrand, who used to play here. Another first down as he connects with Guillaume Blais-Normand.
Well, Blais-Normand does a good job coming back inside to pick up that pass. Again, that's a good example right here of seeing how the offensive line splits those defenders attacking to give him passing lane downfield because he cannot see on his own.
Tackle made by Jesse Ingles. First and 10 from the 39. Steve Farrell led Acadia tacklers in the first half with 5.5. Grew through the air again. Dwayne John went up for it, and boy, you have to chuckle. That kid John, you get the ball in his area and it looks like he's going to bring it down. He's only 5'7", but what an athlete. Where's number 1 for Laval? So incomplete. Second and 10 from the 39. Gros. Lozano getting back there, but he's not able to get a hold of Gros. Look at that composure. He finds Gregoire Champagne, who gets inside the 20. Boy, Gros making something out of nothing there.
Great looking play. Again, getting the time back there to sit in there and just release the ball. His receivers, good patterns, excellent patterns. He knows where they're going to be because the patterns are so disciplined.
So Gros back into the huddle has to be liking the way this drive is working for his team. Just 5 seconds to get the snap off here. And he does. They pick it to Allard Cameos and in and out of the hands of the intended receiver on the slant. That's incomplete.
And what they do on their slant, a little different, is that they run him downfield for about 4 or 5 steps. He stops and then brings the slant back in towards the quarterback. Again, the comeback, which is comeback pattern type thing, which is very successful. And the timing by Gros was excellent. The ball just was not caught.
Guillaume Blais-Normand, the intended receiver. He's the man who caught the big pass just moments ago. Receivers get a running start at the line. Gros looking into the end zone for Dwayne John, and just out of the reach of the wide receiver, incomplete.
So good job there bringing some heat. Gros did not get touched, but he felt it enough that he had to release a little bit earlier. And as we see on the replay here, the heat's coming right there. He starts to feel it on the outside, although it's not close to him. Releases a little bit early, overthrows Dwayne Jean as he heads into the corner by running the post pattern.
Takis with the 25-yard attempt. And it's good. Makes it 23-0. Here's Peter Rutgazer.
Thank you very much, Dan. Let me give you an injury update from Acadia. Pat McNally, he hurt his forearm. They've taped it up. He's going to continue to play. As for offensive lineman Curtis Taylor, he has suffered a foot injury. His day is done. You know, a number of these Acadia players have been nicked up, but those two players probably the most serious so far today. Dan, back to you.
Yeah, Peter makes a good point. A lot of players being hurt today. You can't get hurt by playing turf trivia, John. And a good question this week. Name the 4 teams who won back-to-back Vanier Cups. And back, I believe, Manitoba, the first ones to win back in the 69 and then 70, then Western, 76, 77. St. Mary's, of course, and most recently, this Laval Rouge AR team in 03 and 04. Carter stiff arms his man. Long way to go for a very short gain of 1.
Well, Carter and Price trying to hook up. Carter making the catch. Price trying to make that big block to spring him loose. It didn't happen. He did get to the defender, but then another one showed up and took it out of bounds. A slight gain, 1 yard maybe.
I've seen Acadia try and work that play either on the ground or through the air. They'll try and stretch it out along the line and trying to find an opening at the end of the line. 2nd and 9. Boy, these fans just don't let up here at Pex. Acadia worked on the silent counts all week in practice. That ball underthrown for James Price, incomplete.
Judd having some problems. This is probably the worst game I've seen him play this season, in that he's having difficulty getting a good release on that one as he rolls. Whether it's the type of turf they're playing on here, his footing, whatever the case, that ball well underthrown because the receiver was open on the out pattern had he been able to hook up.
Speaking of the turf, John, I think the state that it's in now, it's not as bad as the old St. Mary's turf was at the end, but it's nowhere near the way that St. Mary's turf is now. It's a little bit rough down there. 4:20 in the counting, and Michener on the punt. Michener will let that rip. And good looking take back by Matthew Picard, who gets out to the 45-yard line. He's brought down by Knox.
Picard gets into traffic, and what he does is use the people in front of him almost as blocking pylons. It just sorts his way through. A very good job of sidestepping. No one could actually see him once he got in the pack.
So the Axemen having a hard time getting into the Laval territory here in the 3rd quarter with 4 minutes to go. Dan Robertson, John McNeil, Peter Rutgazer here in our 2nd trip in 2 years to Quebec City to bring you university football on Eastlink television. Grew had his arm hit as he released that. Richardson looking to pick that off, but couldn't do it.
Well, that was very well set up, and Acadia was very fortunate that they touched his arm, because the receiver to the sidelines ran the pattern that he was successful on 3 times on the last drive, but it was a fake, because as he came back in, he then turned around and took downfield, and he would have been all alone. The ball fell short because the arm got hit. So that pattern was well set up and would have been successful. Drew got the ball down. It was TD all the way.
Well, the look to the air again. Drew scrambling. Now Farrell gets a hold of him at the 52 as Jermaine Thomas took a stiff shove after that. Good play by Farrell.
And why that worked was excellent pressure here as we have a look at the defense coming upfield. We see Farrell there, number 3, sliding over, and then Group's time to make up his mind to run. Farrell there to do the job.
So Perrin on to punt again as Mwenga is deep. There's Matthew Perrin, also a backup linebacker for this Rouge AR team. And he drills another one. Mwenga will take a knee in the end zone.
And so Carter coming on very quickly from the sidelines to help Mwenga, making sure that he understood what the coaches wanted, and they wanted it, if it was anywhere near the end zone, let it go in, give up that single point so they get it out on the 35.
Now 24-0 for the Laval Rouge AR over the Acadia Axemen. And this Laval defense, John, all day they've been right on Chris Judd and very active.
He's had some difficulties getting the ball away in this rollout right there, throwing in underneath, and the defender slipped, and that's why he went there. But then a great job of just stretching out. Here we see it going out to Carter through the sideline.
That was Justin Morrow making the tackle that time. Prior to that, you saw Sam Lajoie tipping that intended pass off the hand of Chris Judd. Ball at the 35-yard line. Judd to the air, quickly underthrown for Barungi.
Another example. Judd's really cussing himself out right now because he realizes he's missed now. This is the second one. So watch him right here, and he's just unable to get that ball, whether it slips in his hands or what, because Barungi is open.
I wonder if the wind is knocking it down the way that ball fluttered. Well, he's thrown in that direction now for a couple of quarters. Grew really didn't have any problem throwing from that end of the field, as Acadia is going to call a timeout here with 2.5 to go in quarter number 3. It's been all Rouge. A couple of touchdown passes to Laurent Levin-Mass, who's had a big day for Laval.
And as we watch Chris Judd, there's obviously something there that's bothering him. You know, I hate to bring it up and say, we know as we get near the end of the season he has trouble, but it is cold out here today. And he's on the field moving, but still, hands are something that he needs for that touch, because he can really throw the ball well and has been throwing the ball well before today. But he's having some serious problems getting the ball on the money.
John, take me back as a player or as a coach. Do you remember, what's the coldest game you remember being involved in?
The coldest game didn't involve snow, but it involved rain and cold. Cold temperatures with a cold rain just chills you right down to the core.
There's no getting warm then, is there?
There is no getting warm. And this kind of a day you're on, running around, come off, you can put something on if you wish, but a wet day you can't.
Yeah, we're lucky in that regard. It was supposed to rain here in Quebec City. It rained early this morning, but stopped well before game time. There's Matt Carter with the catch. He won't have enough for a first down, don't believe, where he is shoved out of bounds. And we'll see where they spot it. Carter, another casualty, it looks like.
And he seemed to hit the edge of the track and ran into some problems. Well thrown ball that time by Judd, showing a little bit of a touch to hit Carter on the run. The defender backing off, taking away that first down yardage, coming up to make the tackle.
Here's Peter on the sidelines.
Thank you very much, Dan. Just a reminder, Friday Night Hockey comes your way next Friday night as the Halifax Mooseheads play host to Val-d'Or. Game time, 7 p.m. right here on Eastlink Television, the Maritime's #1 sports channel. Dan, back to you.
So, John, how many different injuries have we seen today to Acadia players? I think at least 5. And Matt Carter is not a guy you want to lose. Coming in to the action today, he was second on the team with 33 catches. And we'll see if we can figure out where it happened.
It seemed that after he catches the ball and heads into the sideline here, whether it was something he stepped on right there or he just seems to go down with possibly a leg injury, but it's fortunate here that this is not one of those makeup games, because everybody would be saying, see, they get injured after so many, and sometimes this is just a fluke in whatever the situation is. That we've had a number of players of both teams go down, a few more on Acadia as we watch here, Laval player being attended to by a therapist. But
that's Rudy Jean. I wonder if he's related to Woodley Jean of University of Montreal Carabin.
Rudy has already a bad ankle. I saw him walking off, and his left leg was giving him some problems, and they're having a look at it, and I think they may be going to retape it.
So in the first quarter, the first possession of the game, Benoit Gros marched the Laval Rouge downfield. They were able to get the ball into the hands of Laurent Levin-Mass and got the touchdown. So they got off the way they wanted to, did Laval. They got up 7-0, but a couple of drop balls by some Axemen, penalties in the first half, and a tough Laval defense really kept them from getting doing what they wanted to do in the first half of play. And now Carter is just finally getting to his feet and limping very slowly on the far sideline, just up in the left corner of your screen. Well, at least he's walking on his own steam, John. And again, Levin-Mass, couple of TDs today.
Nice rollout, good catch.
That was the first one of the game for him in the first drive of the afternoon. Wide open here. That's the play of the half. Gamertakis has had a couple of field goals. We've seen a safety, a single point as well. As Carter is off, and there is Ivan Barungi talking things over with his quarterback Judd. Michener to punt as he stands near the 30-yard line. They'll let that clock go right down near 0. End over end, line drive, sort of the kick to John at the 35. And he takes it back 8 yards, 9 yards perhaps, to the 44.
And you may have noticed one of the deep backs on that punt formation for Acadia bringing his arm down, and that's what they're doing to try to get over the crowd noise here, because it's difficult to hear the signals for the center. And so when that deep back brings his hand down, that's the signal for the center, who's looking out between his legs to snap the ball. And it's a bowl, too, a bowl effect around the field. So you wonder, even from where you and I are, is it louder down at field level? You would think so. First and 10 from the 43. They continue to go to the air with this big lead. And what a play is. That receiver took the catch, took a hit, and managed to hang on. Laurent Lavigne-Masse has been the go-to guy this afternoon. Well, Masse does a great job of timing this. Drew, good protection, a little heat coming late. As he goes up, the timing is perfect. And there's not an opportunity there for the defender to get a hit until after he come down. And Richardson hammered him, John, but Lavigne-Masse just bounced right off it. It looked for a moment like he would turn to the outside, keep his footing, and be able to take off from there, but he did actually go down. They fake it to a large Cameus, and well-designed play. Be close to a first down, a pickup about 9 as the tackle by Allen made on Michel-Pierre Pombriand. Pombriand coming in from underneath and throwing short. Now the Acadia defenders, having been stung a number of times, are backing off in a hurry, so they may come back and exploit. And they do that, as we saw earlier, where they set up. It didn't work because Drew's arm got hit, but they'll set up their next series of plays by throwing a number of the same plays, and as you react, then they'll change their approach. 2nd and 1 from the 32. They look into the near corner. Dwayne John is nailed by Richardson. Perfect play, no flag. The official right there, you see it. It was perfect time by Richardson because the ball arrived there and he arrived at the same time. And if contact with the ball and with the defender is all at the same time, that's no problem. A few of the fans didn't like it because Jean took a big hit, but it was beautiful timing on Richardson's part. Does it surprise you that Laval continues to throw the ball at this point with a score 24-0? Not really, because what they're doing right now is giving a lot of their receivers who haven't had an opportunity to get some throws in, and they'll keep it going. They're showing respect here for Acadia because they know that if Acadia got on a roll, they could put a couple of touchdowns on the board in a hurry. They're going to go for it, John, and probably the final play of the quarter, 3rd and about a yard. Quarterback keeper Grew. I don't know that he got it. Don't think he did. We'll see where they spot it. Where the spot is, looks like he did not make it. The other reason for continuing to throw is, remember, they're running out of the wind, and they want to throw while they got the wind. They may just run the ball in the 4th quarter. So in the 3rd, being very, very wise to take advantage. And by the look of the placement, it's going to be very, very close as to whether or not he was successful, Benoit Grew, in picking up that first down on a quarterback sneak. It'll be our first measurement of the day. And this is what I talked about earlier. You know, a lot of times you can go on that 3rd down when you're deep in the other team's end. It's exactly what they were doing here. And it's Acadia ball, so good work defensively as they get a good stand from the D line. It really didn't seem to be much room there for Grew, so Acadia with something to clap about, cheer about. 4.8 seconds to go in the quarter. Good push out of the D line coming in nice and low, and that's what made it difficult for him to get any movement out of the offensive line. They were low down in the knee area and were able to push that offensive line back. The Acadia's ball at just shy of the 32-yard line. See Barungi to the right of your screen as he is set out to the far left. Just 2 catches today for Ivan.
They fake it to Inglis. Judd rolling right underneath for Gavanity and almost in interception range that time, but incomplete as Justin Morrow was looking for the ball. It's been all Laval today. 24-0. They lead after 3 quarters of play. Stay with us. You're watching Atlantic University Sport Football on Eastlink Television, the Maritime's #1 sports channel. With that stiff wind at their back here to start the 4th quarter, still scrimmage from the 32 and 2nd down and 10. Judd with time. He's going to throw his longest of the day. Maynard is there. Oh, he dropped the ball. Kevin Maynard almost with a terrific catch, John, but couldn't pull it in.
And really, we saw that a number of times in the first half, and it's very, very unfortunate because those are the huge plays that Laval are making and Acadia aren't right now. And so we see it a little wobbly because of the wind, but well thrown time depth-wise, and they just unable to hold on to that ball. Maynard doing a good job of running the pattern and being in position for that try.
I'm sure he'll think he should have had that one. Vincent Gagne was there defensively for Laval. Mitchner's been a busy man today. We'll see if he can really lean into one here with the win. Bad snap. Mitchner recovering nicely. And he'll send that just by Dwayne John near the 32-yard line. Good hands and good reaction by James Mitchner there.
Good job to get the ball away. And a very good job that it went out of bounds because it was a low streaking ball. Had it been caught, he had a lot of yards to start running back, and by hitting it out of bounds when he got it away, no return whatsoever.
W's at number 2 on that.
Chris Judd, 5th-year quarterback for Acadia. Took a look at him on a piece in the pregame show. Hope you're able to join us for that as we had the man who covers Laval for Le Soleil, J.F. Tardif, came along and talked about this team. A reversal to Dwayne John as he stops. Nice cutback move. And Richardson will finally come in and help make the tackle, but John making the first tackler miss.
So bringing him around from his wide out position, faking the handoff straight ahead and then handing off, him going to the outside, trying to take advantage of his speed. And as you said, he's not huge in size, but he can turn on the burners when he's given a little bit of room.
Looks a little bit like Gary Ross at Mount A, the quick feet. What a year he's had. Turning some heads in the conference as Grew will make that quick pass. Allen wraps his man up, but could be another first down. Boy, they can beat you long, they can beat you short. And that time again, Michel Pierre-Pambriand.
And getting to that first down marker, we talked about it often, and he's there, and that'll be a first down, and they move the chains. When we saw Judd on the sideline, a couple of shots showing Judd, he was talking about his receivers, and he was talking about earlier the number 2. That's the number 2 receiver he's referring to. So that's who he was looking for at that particular pattern.
So it wasn't necessarily Mays who's number 2. It was the number 2 receiver. 1st and 10. They go back to the ground. Valar Camius on first down. Actually, Samuel Fournier, his first carry of the day and 9th of the season, a flag on the play.
Flag coming in late after the play, where there was a late hit. We'll see a preliminary signal showing it may be face masking on the part of Acadia. So that's unfortunate because that's a big one, and that would bring, that would give Laval.
Necessary roughness, face mask, Acadia, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And that will give Laval possession in the Acadia zone at about their 49-yard line.
That's Acadia's 14th penalty of the day. That'll get them to 14 penalties and 101 yards. So the ball will be placed at the 49, 1st and 10 for Laval as they keep this red machine rolling. Play action, Grew. Far side, incomplete. Intended receiver, no good that time. So even when they're incomplete, John, though, the passes are pretty crisp as Mark Remillard, the intended receiver, and after 3 quarters you see Grew's numbers, but even when they don't make the connection, it still looks good from Laval. Remillard's first attempt at a catch today, no good. 2nd and 10. And here's a wide open receiver. This time Remillard will take it in and get inside the 35-yard line to the 33.
Very successful because the defense didn't move up as he came into their zone. It's one thing to get back and play your zone, but you've got to be aware. As we watch here, we see the Remillard move in underneath, and they don't respond quick enough. And he does a good job of moving that ball after the catch.
He really found that open spot too, didn't he? And it didn't take long for Grew to find him and know that he was going to be there. Ball up at 34 now. Another first down. Grew with more time. He'll just flip it out to Fournier. And Grew hit, but he got the pass away. Fournier about 6 on first down.
And again, showing Grew has the smarts that when he's in trouble, he can then pull the ball in. In this case, he chose just to flip it to a hot receiver here, which was the back coming out of the backfield, who had released to help him out. And Samuel Fournier was in a good position just to take that little throw, get some positive yardage, about 7 or 8 yards.
Look at those yards passing today, John. Rushing almost equal, but through the air. Laval has picked Acadia apart today, and they look to do it some more as ducking underneath Poivrion that time, making the catch, and they'll move the chains again. So with the wind, against the wind, it doesn't matter.
Well, what's impressive here is watch his release time. Boom, he gets the ball on a snap and a shotgun turns. Poivrion right there for him, hooks up, makes the catch.
But Poivrion looked like the ball almost slipped out of his fingertips, but he was able to hang on at the last second.
We're on the air, bud. We're on the air. We're doing television.
Wiggle.
Spicy.
First and 10 at the 18. So Poivrion, John, looked like he had a little sticking from Lester Hayes from the old days. The weapons that Grew has, I'll tell you, no shortage.
And he makes those receivers look real good by his ability to get the quick releases and the timing. And that goes to the receiver because of disciplined patterns. So this offense working well together.
Maybe the most impressive drive of the day so far. They'd like to cap it with a TD. Remillard again. Knox gets to him after Remillard picks up about 5. So they've almost, abandoned the run too here in the second half.
And we thought against the wind they would go back, go run perhaps. But you will notice that the passes are all within that 10 to 15 yard range. So really managing it well. They can go deep, but with that wind it could influence even Grew's passing arm.
Remillard picked up about 6 that time. More play action. Grew goes to the other side of the field and almost intercepted. Late flags on the play, and maybe offensive pass interference. I'm not sure of the call.
That was a difficult one because Elliot Richardson had position. That was a long thrown ball, and the wind did affect it and hung up a little bit, and it's pass interference against the receiver. So Richardson did have a chance to make that interception, but got interfered with by the offensive player. So that is pass interference against Laval.
Pass interference, Laval. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
You can see the wide receiver knew he wasn't going to be near the ball, so he kind of turned in a defensive mode here.
And I'd like to thank Mr. Grew for proving our point that wind was strong enough that if he didn't throw underneath and tried to go down, even his arm would have trouble, and it did. Hung it up there, and Richardson was ready for that interception when the interference took place.
Takis from 22. Takis perfect today, as now it's 27-0. Here's Peter Rutgazer.
Thank you very much, Dan. You know, if defensive lineman Kyle Markin of Acadia, if he ever decided to run for prime minister, his campaign manager would be head coach Jeff Cummins. Recently had a chance to talk to Coach Cummins about Kyle, and he kept on singing his praises throughout our conversation. He said Kyle has a huge heart and a huge motor, and he's been dominant on defense this season. But you know what? This 5th-year player from Calgary is also getting the job done in the classroom. He already has a degree with a double major in computer sciences and business. I asked Coach Cummins, does Kyle have a chance to play pro football? He said, I don't know, but whatever Kyle Markin does, he'll be successful at it. Dan, back to you.
Yeah, well done, Peter. I think I said this before. We don't talk about that stuff enough, and good on Kyle. He is a well-rounded individual, big number 27 for Acadia. You get a chance to talk to him at the golf tournament a couple of weeks ago, or last week, was it?
I spent a lot of time with Ivan Barungi and with Farrow and with Price. And Price had just come back from attending the academic all-Canadian breakfast that was put on. And I did not get a chance to talk to Kyle Markin, but certainly a great bit of information there about a young man doing an excellent job on the field and off.
He's been the sack king in the conference for the last few years. So Takas getting ready to boot from 45. Majacoli into the game, John, and he suffered that concussion a couple of weeks ago against St. Mary's, and they're going to kick it to number 6. He's dangerous. The 28 ducks ahead for a couple. His team trailing Laval 27-0 here in the fourth quarter.
You're watching Atlantic University Sport Football on Eastlink Television. Brought to you in part by the Chronicle Herald. Our lives, fresh daily. Teletech. 300 jobs available at www.higherpoint.com.
Acadia hoping for some ray of sun here offensively. Hasn't been much today for Chris Judd. They'll scrimmage from their 29. And too far from Maynard, who stretched out the right hand, incomplete.
As I watch Judd continually blowing on his hands and trying to warm up, I've got to feel that it is affecting his throw, because no pressure on that one. Great setup. He looked to have good technique, released the ball, and it just went flying over the receiver's head. So
Jeff Cummins still working on the defense, as a good coach will. Judd's going to get that away quickly to the Benedict, just too high. So Judd off the mark today, just can't get rolling. They'll have to punt once more.
Good pressure coming on the outside, and now Judd was looking over some pretty tall people trying to find his receiver. May have been part of the reason for the overthrow, but you're correct. As we watch here, his technique looks all right. It just seems to be his hands on that ball, although that one he threw off a bit of the back foot. So when things start going wrong, you look at everything. He's just not having a good day, period.
Marc-Antoine Baudouin-Cloutier got the arm up and almost knocked that down. He did that in the first half. Michener waits at the 20. That will roll to John at the 36. He'll have to backtrack. That's going to really ruin any plan he had to take it back a long ways, as he'll actually lose a couple of yards. Probably scrimmage from the 33-yard line when all is said and done.
It would be nice in this fourth quarter to see Acadia get an offensive drive going, to put a touchdown on the board. It would be good for them. We know they're going to bring other things out of this game than just the score, but it certainly would be good for them to pick up a touchdown. They have sporadically had plays good enough to do that. They just haven't put them together into a series.
It's going to go for about 55 yards on that punt by Michener. See if Grew, they're going to keep passing by the looks of things. Short hook up that time to Remillard, who was featured so prominently in the last possession. He picks up 8 on first down as Knox is involved. You see Sean Knox holding his left foot there as he finally gets up from the turf. Man, a lot of attrition here today for Acadia. You don't like to see that. Of course, Acadia's next game is scheduled for Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock at Mount Allison. And, you know, a lot of us, me included, were saying, how can they play that game? It'll get dark. But you pointed out they have lights there at Mount A. They go back to the ground. Allard Camarios. Impressively, he keeps his feet moving and gets out over midfield, where Adrian Satterley takes him down by the legs.
Well, we saw this earlier out of one of their punt returners, and now we see it this time out of Fournier, and he does a great job of just jumping in behind people and using them as blocking pylons and sorting through it and picking up great yardage.
So Concordia last check 16-14 over St. Mary's in the fourth. Here's a dandy. We saw Bill Robinson Sr. flying up to see that game today. Terry Baker as well. Crew gets away from the pressure and connects as another first down to the 35-yard line as Levin Mass with another catch today.
And another good example of Rouge showing great ability to get out and sort things out when people are covered. Find the receiver, take your time, not get flustered, not get hassled. Pick out the open receiver.
Elliot Richardson, the free safety, with the tackle. This Laval offense just continuing to roll along. The receiver underneath that time, taking it in, Marc-Olivier Dubois-Gagnon. His first catch of the day. If you'd like to ask Coach John McNeil a question, by all means, he looks forward to your email. Ask the coach at eastlink.ca, and we will most likely answer that on the air for you. And thanks to all of those of you who sent those in the course of this season. A new feature here on our football telecast this year. 2nd and 1. They go to the ground. Edmé, his first carry of the afternoon, and he'll move the yard markers for Edmé this year. That's just his second carry.
And looking at that Concordia St. Mary's score of 16-14, I think we can see where that the early games between AUS and the Quebec Conference really is a little early for the Atlantic area, because they're starting the Quebec Conference a week earlier in camp. They get one more extra game, and I think it makes a difference. So we see teams like Mount Allison against Bishops and now St. Mary's against Concordia playing much better than the first time around.
1st and 10 from the 22. Big to Edmé, buying time for Grew. Now he's going to come back the other way. A good scrambling ability, but he won't get away from Farrell, but he flips it to Edmé. Somehow, he's going to be not even able to get back to the line of scrimmage. But boy, Grew slick on his feet as well.
Well, he's a little upset at one of his receivers didn't turn it up, but I'm not sure that his coaches would love that play, because it came as he was in the grass. And although it looks great, that's not what you want your quarterback doing, because a lot of times it goes ugly. And right now he's doing a great job of avoiding, but right here, that's perhaps not a wise thing to do. But he does get it away, and he does avoid giving up too many yards. Good job here. Good job moving his feet. He's looking. He's avoiding tacklers. He's getting to the outside. And right there, when Farrell puts the locks on him, he just gets rid of it in the nick of time.
Acadia defense still bringing it here, down big in the 4th quarter. 2nd and 13. Grew, wide open receiver, and he's going to pick up the first down. So that time, Guillaume Blais-Normand.
Now, you have to believe that there's some blown coverage on this one. Somebody didn't take out to the flats area, because Blais-Normand is totally open on this one. Nobody within 10 or 15 yards of him.
Don't have a time of possession. We don't have the stats like we usually do, John, as I said earlier. It'd be nice to see how long this drive is from Laval. Very impressive. As I said, in the first half, they've averaged 459 yards of offense a game. That's best in the nation. They have to be pretty close to that today. Grew looking to the end zone for Remy Arya. And he catches it. Touchdown, Rouge.
From a double tight end position, he puts the ball up and it floats a little bit. But Acadia's defensive backs, Pat McNally, having a difficult time adjusting. Either didn't pick it up in his vision, but as he turned around, it was a little too late. The ball was caught. And an excellent drive, as you mentioned, the 2nd or 3rd one in this half for Laval.
So Grew has really spread things around today. Takis has been perfect on the afternoon. 34-0. That's what it's all about right there.
It'd be interesting to see whether Laval has a backup quarterback who might get some time, although with this temperature, he may have been sitting on the bench a little bit too long. But certainly, Grew has done the job today.
So 3:44 to go in this. You just hope that this doesn't demoralize Acadia in any way looking down the road. I'm sure they knew it was going to be a tough week coming in here. And, you know, if anybody can keep their spirits up, it's that head coach of theirs, Jeff Cummins.
Well, I've been really impressed with how Laval has rolled in this fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that's really what's made the difference, because before that, Acadia was in the ball game just not able to get anything to click because they were making mistakes more than Laval was taking their way. But there's no doubt in this fourth quarter in anybody's mind of what's happening, and that is Laval's taking control of this game. They're moving the ball at will, and they're able to stop Acadia from putting any drives together whatsoever.
So what a battle it must have been last week in between Laval and their great offense against that terrific Concordia defense. Be nice to hear perhaps St. Mary's come away with a victory just west of us here today. Benoit Gru, he's been a big part of the story. So is Laurent Levin-Mass. He's got a couple of touchdown passes today. I believe they're just saying, John, that drive up over 11 minutes. Oh, my French is not exactly the best as Coley takes that back on the kickoff. Good to see him back. He took a wicked hit 2 weeks ago, right in that sort of play, right in that area of the field where he turned it upfield. Took a hit from a St. Mary's player who was downfield on pursuit. So Acadia will try and at least get the ball inside Laval territory and see if they can't put up some points. Certainly haven't called Ivan Barungi's name as much today as we have in the past. He's caught 2 passes. Hasn't really been thrown the ball that often. So they're going to go on the ground to Tom Flaxman, who turns a corner and picks up about 5 on first down.
Good looking play to the outside, but you're correct. We haven't mentioned Barungi too often, and in my mind, not often enough. I was looking forward to at the start of the game, as we said in the pregame, to see the matchup with Letourneau, a rookie who Ivan Barungi has a great advantage over in height, but really that has not come to pass. In the first half, Acadia had tremendous problems on offense putting drives together, let alone trying to get the ball to Barungi.
It was 5 on first down, so 2nd and 5. Jet underneath the price, incomplete. He was there, just threw his arms. Acadia receivers as a whole, they've had a hard time holding onto the ball today.
The offense for Acadia really hasn't answered the call for whatever reasons, the environment, the field, the weather, whatever it is, and that's been the story. The defense really did do some play in the first half that might have kept them in the ball game had the offense been able to put something together. So they have a lot of work to do to get back on track, because coming into this game, I felt that they were a hot offense, and especially I thought that Judd was. And even after Judd was injured and came in that game against St. Mary's, I believe in the third quarter, he turned it around. Had he had 10 more minutes, they might have won it.
John will field that at 30, make sure he doesn't step out. He's going to try and take it near side. Look at Farrow, John. He gets all the way downfield. He's been the first guy down there all day and brought him down at about the 26. Number 3.
Just took an excellent advantage position in pursuit. And we got a little fight going on the sideline here with the mascot going at it.
I hope they pay that guy well. Pretty cold if you get hit in the back with a stick, costume or not. So Cesar Sanchez will come in, the backup quarterback out of Mexico.
Cesar Roberto Sanchez Hernandez.
All right, I'll just keep it at Cesar Sanchez. It's got to be cold for him too. 2 years ago when we were here, they had a couple of Mexican players in the lineup. Flag on the play is looks like enough for first down yardage for Fournier, but will it come back?
It comes in the area where it could be holding, and that is the preliminary signal, holding against Laval. So no doubt Acadia will take them back.
Now, when we were here in 2004, was it not Benoit Gru who was the backup quarterback, and did he come in late in that game against St. Mary's?
They had, at that time, I believe, 3 quarterbacks on the go. Benoit Gru was being talked about. I can't remember if
10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
If he came in that game, but they certainly were flipping quarterbacks around. I'm not sure it wasn't the year after, but he had a very, very tall quarterback who also did some punting that day.
La Roseliere, perhaps.
Correct, that's who it was.
2:31 now to go, so that it's going to be 1st and 20. Sanchez hooks up with his man quickly, but he's brought down by Mike Leahy.
Well thought out patterns, and again coming in underneath. Sanchez Hernandez able to hook up, give him a chance to show his arm to his coach, get him on the field, and give Benoit Gru a well-earned rest.
That catch by Matthew Picard. Second and 22 now. Incomplete, intended along the far side. Bishop was there for Acadia. Marc-Olivier Dubois-Gagnon not able to haul that in. So something we haven't seen a lot of in the second half is Laval forced to punt, bringing their second stringers on that time. Benoit Gru really earning his rest today.
Here the replay showing Gru and his ability to get the ball away and hook up receivers underneath. An excellent job. They're hooking up with Remillard.
You like to see his decision too, John. You don't see it there as much, but just a couple of steps drops, he makes his mind up and gets the ball out of his hand.
You can almost see the wheels turning when he's found himself in a tough position.
And that's the latest touchdown pass to Remillard. 2:02 to go, and Acadia calling a timeout. They're counting to make sure they have the right amount of people on the field, it looks like. 34-0. I guess it's one of those cases where the score pretty much does indicate the way the play has gone. And Acadia didn't get off to a good start, and this will be 20 straight regular season wins for Laval. And I'm not sure how far back the home winning streak goes, but they have their own bit of unfinished business too, as they lost in the national semifinal last year in the Mitchell Bowl. They've averaged 30 points per game. They've given up 14 on the average. 334 yards through the air they've averaged this year. That's third in the nation, first in this conference. Punt. Strange kind of a revolution there sideways. Coley not going to take any chances after he initially bobbled it, and he will fall on it at the 48.5-yard line.
So the wind probably intimidating the punter more than anything, because he short shanked that, hit up on his shin before he got the ball away, and it came down. So Acadia will have good field position here, and they will have a shot with a minute and 55 to get some points on the board here, not go away with the goose egg, and as we said earlier, maybe revisit here in 2 or 3 weeks.
Chris Judd's day is done at quarterback. James Michener is in. Long day for Judd. Michener, the quick pass in and out of the hands of Kevin Maynard. So catchable ball, but he wasn't able to put the squeeze on it. Maynard this year, 5 catches for 70 yards. He had 1 ball last week. You know, this team in red wants to keep that shutout intact. Point of pride for them now.
And as you said, that was a catchable ball, and that's been part of their problem today too. So they want to go back to the receivers and do some extra work on their patterns and on their catching.
Michener will put that one up wide open as Flaxman, who turns around and makes the catch. And Tom Flaxman with a first down as he is taken down at the 17. And wouldn't you know it, Flaxman is shaken up on the play as well.
And this one is hard hitting, and Michener does a good job of getting away because he sees him open, so he floats it, and there's the hit, and we could hear it from up here. And there has been a number of very, very hard hits today, and this one resulting in Flaxman getting hit at a difficult time when he was caught the ball and trying to get turned around, so he's a little slow getting up.
Third catch of the year for Flaxman. He came out of the backfield and really was wide open as Michener just kind of sailed that up for him. I want to remind you of our next broadcast here on Eastlink Television, the Val-d'Or Foreur. I can't wait to see them. They'll play the Halifax Mooseheads at the Metro Center next Friday. We'll be on the air at 7 o'clock. Brad Marchand and the Foreur. Axemen, as you see, just off to the left a bit of your screen. One of the athletic therapists. They made the long trip up, and they've been as busy as anybody today for Acadia.
And as I was mentioning earlier when we discussed about games being made up, if they've got to play the 3 games in 10 days, I really seriously feel these teams have to get their therapists involved in getting these players prepared to play those games and pick up, in effect, what would be extra time by treating their bodies properly and using the off time wisely.
We'll get you to follow up on that in just a minute, John, as Acadia hoping to put some points on the board here for the first time. Not much there for Simon Hall Jr. Now, you talk about hydration right away. What do you do right after the game or the next day?
Well, I'll tell you what players often do, and they go out and they celebrate. And then you're not hydrating with water, you're hydrating with things that really are going to take your body a long time to get rid of. And so it'll take some players 2 days before they're back with us in practice. So you know you're going to come into 3 games in 10 days, get your therapist and do some wise things, health-wise, food-wise, exercise-wise, mental-wise. Get them prepared.
2nd and 10, nothing there for Simon Hall, and that carry, a rare one for him. Michener will look into the corner for Mays, and he dropped it. That hit him right in the number 2. They did have some coverage on him from Gagne, but incomplete.
There was good coverage. Mays was so busy just trying to get himself into a position to catch the ball. When the ball came, he couldn't make the catch. And here you'll see him very, very busy here trying to get some separation right there. And as he turns, just doesn't make that catch.
So they'll stay with it on 3rd and 10. If they can get the ball to the 7-yard line, it'll be enough for a first down.
And I want to get the last word on Monty Mosier, who spoke at the half in your interview with him earlier in the week, and talking about how to and not to play those games, etc. But the problem is nobody saw what to do with the 2 points. Who gets first? Who gets home field advantage? That's the reason you need to play it.
Winning percentage. I think that's certainly what Chris Cochran was talking about today in his article. Underneath, and good play defensively, but a flag. I spoke too soon, as that was an incomplete pass intended for Mike Adams.
Looks like there may have been some early contact, and that's what they're calling, so it will be an automatic first down. 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, first down Acadia.
I think Adams had visions of a touchdown, but Acadia's going to move the sticks. Again, that play coming on 3rd down. We'll take the opportunity as we look at the replay to thank, give a big thumbs up to this Eastlink crew.
Pass interference. Laval.
It is pass interference,
penalty.
but the majority, well, all
First
the crew
down.
left yesterday morning about 6 o'clock, drove up here. They laid a lot of the cables last night, got a good night's sleep, and got up and got over here early today. And Valerie Marchand driving us around and doing a good job. She's down there freezing on the sidelines with one of the biggest winter hats I've seen. The folks in the truck keeping warm and working hard, and glad to bring you this game from Laval as Acadia looking to finally punch one in. 1st and goal from the 2. Hall in motion. Michener gets hit as he releases. Mays catches it. Touchdown Acadia.
Well, we do have a flag on the play that's showing roughing the passer against Laval. That'll be declined. Acadia has scored the touchdown. Huge, good-looking play. Got the ball away as he got hit. I don't know why the roughing unless he got hit in the helmet. And that's maybe what it was, because it was as he released it. Good job coming to the ball.
Etienne Lagarde coming from the backside for Anthony Mays, his 4th touchdown catch of the season. He's caught 7 balls in total, and 4 of them have been for TD for number 2. So the backups come in from both sides, and the Axemen lessen the sting a little bit, perhaps. Put a major on the board. The key play there, John. Good to see them convert on 3rd down and 10.
It was something that I said earlier that I'd like to see them get a touchdown in this 4th quarter, because they have done a lot of good things, although not all at the same time. But Michener did a good job coming in and directing that touchdown. Now, do we have a quarterback controversy?
No. That's Michener's 1st touchdown pass of the year, and he picks up the other point on the play with the extra point.
But he deserves full credit, because he stood in there on a number of throws.
Yeah, that last one, he knew Lagarde was coming from the backside, and did manage to stay in and get the ball away.
So they take the goose egg off the board, and that's huge for them, and they earn that one and put it in the end zone. So if they do get a chance to be successful and come back, I'm sure they'll use this as a little history lesson.
Yeah, again, that game would be November 18th. Obviously, Acadia would have to win the Jewett Trophy, and Laval would have to come out of the Quebec Conference, and that certainly is not a done deal with all the competition in both conferences. Acadia will fall to 4-3. Laval will move to 7-0. Glenn Constantine, real nice guy to talk to, too. Had a chance to, before the game, to have a chat with him. He's a guy who has had so much success here. CIS Coach of the Year previously. 22 all, Concordia and St. Mary's in overtime. We just heard the announcement here.
So Concordia's second overtime game in as many weeks.
They go for the short kick. Mitchner goes the 10 yards. A big hit, but nice job to wrap up by Samuel Fournier.
So a good opportunity to practice your short kickoff preparation for the playoffs. Almost successful. It was just a little bit too deep. It only has to go 10 yards, and that looked to carry about 20. Had it been about 5 yards, they would have had a good shot at it. 5 yards shorter.
John, do you like to see that kick, or do you like to see where the kicker will kick the top of the ball and kind of get it to run and skip?
I always love to see it in the air because it's easier for the kicker to be consistent and getting that where we want to be so we can get up and touch that ball. And all we have to do is knock it out of bounds. We don't have to get possession. So that's where you get your people like Barangi over there to get up there and just hit that ball out of bounds.
Well, not everybody is still here, but the fans who remain are making a lot of noise. The flags on the play as Laval will keep it on the ground. Fournier moves forward. We'll see what the call is.
And the announcer just mentioning that Laval, by winning this game, has put themselves into the championship position for this league, and then will host any of the playoffs as far as they go.
And obviously that is a huge key for them. The fans should applaud that because they mean so much here, as Glenn Constantine said in the pregame.
Outside, Acadia, up only 5 yards. They keep first down.
1st and 5, so in that case for Laval.
Well, it will be interesting to see if we can pick up a little bit later the overtime score out of Concordia and St. Mary's. So St. Mary's continuing their comeback that we've seen in the last previous week. So great job by them.
Just thinking, can you imagine if they tie? As if things aren't convoluted enough in the AUFC.
You mean, how do you mean end up in a tie? In that game?
In that game.
It's not possible.
You can't get the tie, okay.
No, they will go to a shootout.
Right.
And the shootout will continue to change as the longer it goes on, meaning that if they're still tied after the second shootout, then they've got to go for a 2-point conversion, not one. And so the situation increases that you're going to have one team with a differential.
And do you get a point? I know you get a point for an overtime loss in the West, I believe it is.
That's correct.
But it's
in the
not
West only.
in the Atlantic Conference. Yeah. So Sanchez will take a knee. This Laval team really living up to its reputation here today. Good chance this Acadia team might be the only Atlantic Conference team to lose on this interlock Saturday, the second and final one of the season here in Week 7.
Well, it'll be a long bus ride back because of the bruises. We've seen a lot of players do that, so I'm sure they'll be glad that they got that touchdown and took that goose egg off the board. And they've got some work to do with the defensive backs, and they've got some work to do with their receivers.
And I hope that Acadia is healthy. Hopefully the injuries that we saw here today are not serious. Even a guy like Farrow who continued to play right to the final flag. He was slow to get up from time to time.
And we watched the owner of the, we can call it owner, I guess it's a university team, but funded and financed by this gentleman who's walking, Glenn Constantine, and just congratulated him on winning the league.
Now there's a link between the Rimouski Oceanic of the QMJHL and Laval as the Tanguay family involved here. And it's certainly worked for this school as the teams will line up to shake hands. And 34-7. So nice to see Mays put it in from James Michener, his first touchdown pass of the year. So some good work, the second stringers. But obviously all Laval here today as they move to 7-0. They have Montreal next week. Acadia has Mount Allison on Friday. There's boy, a great game out of Benoit Gru. He threw to a lot of different passers, receivers today, and really is the guy who distributed the ball. Here is Peter with Benoit. Pete?
Thank you very much, Dan. Benoit Gru, the player of the game here against Acadia. Benoit, tell me, as a quarterback, how enjoyable is it to have so many weapons on offense to throw the ball to?
It's so nice. That's why I came here. Laval won the Vanier Cup the 2 years before I came here, so it was an easy choice for me.
How important is it for this team to go undefeated? Next week you got Montreal.
But the important for us is to clinch the #1 spot, and that's what we made today. And Montreal, I think, will get some rest for our injured players.
Well, Benoit, it was a pleasure watching you play today. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you very much.
Benoit Gru, the player of the game here, as Laval defeats Acadia easily, 34-7. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back and wrap things up right after this. You're watching Atlantic University Sport Football right here on Eastlink Television.
Eastlink play of the half was the Laval touchdown to Remillard, putting the cap on a long drive, John, by Laval.
And Benoit Gru, really impressive today, as he is on display, getting the ball in for that touchdown to Remillard.
He adjusted nicely, too. He came back to it, and we saw that from all of the receivers today. We're going to go back to the first half, and this is Gru coming to our right, and that made it 14-0. Wide open that time was Levine Mass, who had a terrific day.
And again, the arm is impressive, and the technique looks real good.
Good footwork, too, for a quarterback. Laval pretty much dominating in every area except for rushing, but through the air, look at that, 346 yards. And just to 100 for Chris Judd and the Acadia Axemen. 438 to 164 in total yards. For John McNeil, I'm Dan Robertson. One more time, here's Peter Rutgazer.
Thank you very much, Dan. Just a reminder, Friday Night Hockey comes your way next Friday night as the Halifax Mooseheads play host to Val d'Or. Game time is 7 p.m. So the final score from Quebec City, Laval defeats Acadia by a count of 34-7. They are now 7-0 on the season. On behalf of Dan, John, and the entire crew that did a great job here in Quebec City, I'm Peter Rutgazer saying good night.
Telephone services for this broadcast have been provided by Eastlink. It's that easy.